Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Got a very packed day today of news and discussion, and I let an AI pick the first 10 stories order. And let me know what you think about how it did. And I say 10 in quotations because it skipped number six. Yeah, I was like, where's number six? And it just didn't. So uh, let's check the audio and check the chat, and then we'll get started. All right. It seems good on YouTube side. Let's see. Oh, there's a new message about moderators. All right. I'll click one more and we'll read about that later today because right now we got a show to do. You think they would put that somewhere else, somewhere you could see it, but they didn't. So, oh well. All right. Let's see. First up, we've got some somber news. Let's call it that. And let's bring this back on screen. So Soichiro Toyota, he died at age 97, and this is the son of the founder of Toyota, not the grandson who just stepped down the last week or two for April, and not Toyota's son who made Toyota. We can thank him for the fact that the Prius existed at all, and our thoughts are with his family. So let's move on to something less sad. All right. So this one is coming from Inside EVs. The Ferrari CEO says that Tesla was a wake-up call for the auto industry. Things used to happen too slowly before Tesla, and that's what he said in a recent interview. See what else he said in the interview. They pledged to have up to 40% of their sales by 2030, which we've got another article about that coming up in the middle of the show. But 40% isn't too bad because 2030 is still 5 years ahead of one of the dates we've always been talking about. And it's better than some of the competitors who are still dragging their feet. So let's see. Yep, same quote about things happening too slowly. He doesn't see Tesla as a rival. No stuff. The Prancing Horse is on track to unveil its first all-electric vehicle in 2025, so just 2 more years. A little later than you'd expected, but technology, prices, all that had to get where they wanted them to produce a vehicle they wanted, because a plaid's a little large for Ferrari. Let's see. All right, Eddie says the chat's working, so that's working on Facebook too, and I can still write it back to you guys. So I've kind of pre-staged the next several shows. You can see them on my schedule, and what will happen there is that when I schedule the next batch, I'll just re-include Facebook on the list. I don't know why previous few shows, including Facebook, made it so I couldn't chat back with you guys, and I don't like not being able to chat back with you guys. I could do it to YouTube, and then Twitch people on Twitch would miss out, and it was a mess. But it looks like the streaming provider and Facebook got it all back together. All right, so yeah, I mean, all electric Ferrari. Like I keep saying, electrify all the things. We'll need it, whether or not you agree with whether or not we need Ferraris around or not. Moving on. So the driver of the Model Y that drove off of, not the Model Y drove, but he drove off of, just like you can't say, uh, police involved shooting. No, the police shot this guy, or this guy shot the police. This guy drove his family off a cliff, and he pleaded not guilty. And you were muted last week. I don't know what's up with that. You're featured on my channel, I think, so you shouldn't be muted. So he pleaded not guilty, and he claims he was swerving to avoid a deer. And what else did he say? Let's see. Wife, daughter, and son. He pleaded not guilty. He claimed he was trying to avoid a deer, but prosecutors say he has a history of domestic violence, according to the summary that I read on that part. I was looking for more information on it, and so I have not vetted that part. It could have been lying to me. But then here comes this next part, which was even more mind-boggling. The only reason I even brought up that he pleaded guilty. The wife, his wife, she doesn't want him prosecuted. What? The very first thing you said when the people came to rescue you guys is, "He did this on purpose. He's trying to murder us." So how do you go from that to, "Oh no, no, please don't punish him"? So if what the AI summary was right about the domestic violence part that they insinuate, that could explain some of that. But she's been away from him while he's been in jail this whole time, hospital then the jail. I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Like somebody tries to murder your whole family, and you ask them not to do anything. I mean, this isn't turn the other cheek here. I don't know. Put a note down in the comment. I'm curious how you guys feel about it. All right, let's move on to something a little more interesting and upbeat and like not controversial, I guess. Oh, Eddie, you got a point there. It could be Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, and they would say that. Good call. Very good call. Okay, so next, the White House, the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, and others have asked Elon. They asked him to the White House, and they wanted to discuss getting some help achieving their goals. So they have convinced Elon to make Tesla open the supercharger network. And yes, they've already done this in Australia and Europe, and they want it done in North America. So, well, specifically the United States, but we do Canada the same as we do the US. So what's going to happen here is Tesla said that they're going to open 7,500 connections in the network to non-Tesla vehicles. That is substantial. Uh, there were somewhere north of 10,000 connectors in the continental U.S. In January. Of course, that number is going up every day, but a significant portion of them will be open to the public. Obviously, they're going to still look at their metrics and their numbers and decide, hey, let's not put it at the station where there's always a line just for Tesla owners. But if there's one that's not overcrowded, that'll be where they start. Sorry, my headphone cord was tangled on my charging cable. All right, so let's see here. John Podesta and Mitch Landrieu met with Elon to discuss shared goals around electrification and how the IRA can advance electric vehicle production and charging, as well as the broader electrification. There we go. So some of what I said was not in this article, but just as I go through them, I get different copies of the same article, slightly different stances and everything, stuff that catches up later. And I'd rather not have all of my articles come from Electrek or Inside EVs or Drive Tesla Canada. I mean, I'm fine with looking at them all, but you keep seeing the same logo all the time. You're like, well, why don't I just read that site by myself? I like the variety because look at this. This one's from Autoblog. Rolls-Royce's future models will be electric only starting in 2030. So, what's up, Ferrari? I'm pretty sure they make more Rollses than Ferraris. But in the meantime, they're still going to keep making their V12. So we've seen spy shots of the Rolls-Royce Spectre running around doing its millions of miles of testing. And I wonder if they've got a picture of that. Doesn't look like it. Anyway, so it's been running around doing its millions of miles of testing before it goes on sale soon. And it's pretty cool that they're going to go all electric before it's a requirement. But if you're saving up for V12, it's not too late. That's pretty cool. So the modular platform that underpins the Spectre will serve as the foundation for other EVs, which is smart. Once you've designed it and certified it, why throw it away? Use it again, tweak it a little bit. All right, so Ford halted production and shipments of the F-150 Lightning due to a potential battery issue. There was a vehicle that caught fire during QA out in the lot, or I said during the QA process. It wasn't actively like in the factory getting inspected by an employee. It was out in the lot. It caught fire and it lit another vehicle on fire. They halted production for a bit so they could figure out what was going on, and they have since resumed. Wish they'd stop saying that. Those car companies will not be all electric by 2030. Well, the car companies themselves are saying it. So if you're quoting them, the only other thing you could do is add the context that you don't believe them. And for you and I, that would work, but for this kind of news agency, it would not be um, smart of them to do that in a news article, but in an opinion piece, absolutely. Call them out, call them to the bat, and say, "Hey, you guys, you make 3 cars. Why is it going to take you, 10 years to get this done? Come on!" And yeah, so I've got another article on this that says what happened and has an update. We'll talk about that later. All right, so the next one is the 2024 Mini Countryman EV has been spied ahead of imminent debut. The upcoming crossover is said to be based on the same platform as the BMW iX1. Yeah, again, sharing a platform makes it easier to do, and the minis haven't been small for quite some time. So it's interesting to look at. I mean, once they get here, if they're from an established automaker, I'm pretty confident that they'll show up. They don't always, but most of the time. Where I am less comfortable is like Eddie and I keep talking about, where if they're a new car company or if they have some questionable financials, once you get here, does that mean the car is actually coming out? Maybe. But BMW Mini, we'll see this thing soon. Later this year, early next year. Let's see. Anything else about it? 66.5 kilowatt hour battery. So this thing will be 22 kilowatts. That's substantial for an AC charger on such a small battery. I would expect, like, given its size, if the aerodynamics are right, this thing will be at least capable of 200 miles. I would like to see 250 as my magic number. We'll see what they think it'll be. Be sold in the States as clear at the moment if the Countryman will reach the States, with BMW, which owns many, stating that in the past the X1 will be sold in the States in its gas burning xDrive 28i variant only. The electric variant reserved for Europe. I hope that's wrong, because that would be so disappointing. But given Mini and Smart's EV history with their dealerships, I could see them not wanting to get into that fight again. It's lazy, but I could see it. DC fast charging is only 127 kilowatts, but again, it's got a smaller battery pack. 2040, quite possibly, but not 2030, and I'm all for EVs. Well, the only way they can do 2040 and still be in business is if those are hybrids, because in several jurisdictions, 2035 is the hard cut for the law, and some others, like Norway, they moved it up to 2025. So if they wanna play that game, they just won't be playing in those sandboxes. And if you wanna miss out on California or miss out on North America or Europe or any of these places, that's on you. No one said you had to be a good business person to be in business. Comments on this, let's see what they say. Seems like a no-brainer offered in the US. We love crossovers. Yeah. There's a chance it could have better aerodynamics than the iX1, which is good. Yes. But it all turns on BMW battery production. Oh, that'd be a good reason for them not to do it. If they don't have any batteries to bring it here, then that would kind of make it hard to do, wouldn't it? Also, based on the iX1, what kind of interiors will it have? That's interesting. It'll probably have a mini grade interior. Only planning to build 40 grand. That's unfortunate. What kind of suspension? That's a good question. BMW or Mini? Oh, that's right. Whenever BMW does a collab, it ends up being something different overall. They don't usually make that many tweaks to it when it hits, like the Toyota Supra. That was a BMW collab, the new one, not the original. Um, Still, a pure EV design could have been much better. Absolutely. Based off these photos, the front end has been greatly smoothed out versus the X1. I think you'd consider this based off BMW suspension and materials. It's rarely CUV sized. Interesting. Mini Cooper SE is very entertaining to drive, so hopefully their know-how will transfer to the CUV also. One will hope. And the final article that the AI recommended in order, before we move on to just the list as I found them mostly, uh, is another article touching on that White House meeting. So one thing we did find out is that Tesla will be using Magic Dock, and you'll if you're driving a non-Tesla, you'll ride up, you'll open up your app, you'll pick your stall, it will unlock the cable with the CCS adapter already on it. You plug it in, charge, unplug it, have a nice life. If you show up with a Tesla, you do the same thing you usually do: just grab the handle, plug it into the car. I think you may have to push the button, the unlatch button. If that's the case, that should make it a lot harder for the cables to end up on the ground like they've been doing, but we'll see. And that's not a common problem everywhere, but it does happen where the cables are not necessarily from people being lazy, but like the little hook that goes into the latch of the cable, or where the cable latches into the car. Um, they don't always survive. So let's see, that was there. Let's load up another batch. Oh, we got some fun ones coming up here. All right, so let's just, like I said, let's do them in order. All right, next we've got Tesla's been ordered to halt construction of the parking lot solar array at Giga Berlin. And we talked about this week on the Tesla Live show, and it turned out that the same folks who keep constantly stopping this factory for saving the cardboard forest and all these other concerns that don't seem fully baked, they are suggesting that digging the holes for the foundations for the solar awnings are going to ruin the ecosystem of the parking lot. It's already been paved, and during that discussion, somebody pointed out already that the foundations you need to dig for the light poles are very similar, and we can see that the light poles are already there, and it's just mind-boggling because every time you see these people throw up their objections, it's like, do you have a problem with it not being perfect? Because everything these people are doing is to make it just a little bit better, as well as make a profit, but just a little bit better. Hey, instead of a combustion car, you've now got an EV. Instead of just a flat parking lot getting rained on, you've now got fresh solar power into a continent that's having an energy crisis right now because their oil and their gas come from a sanctioned country that has started an incursion. So they're a little short on gas right now. They use the gas for heat and for their electricity. How about some more electricity to go around, right? Bennett says, think of the poor bugs that thrive in the natural ecosystem of a year-old parking lot. Exactly. It's just, it's not even like it's unfathomable to me, and I just don't. The only other thing that makes sense, and I don't like to go into conspiracy theories, but it's the only other thing that makes sense is that these guys are plants. They're astroturfers. They're greenwashing. They are working for somebody else who doesn't want Teslas to succeed for profit reasons. Because unless every other German factory is going through this, then who knows what the real motives are? It doesn't look good. The only other thing I can say is that was it BMW tried to build a plant here over 10 years ago, and they gave up before they even broke ground. So it could be just local politics, but I'm not so sure. We're talking about the company that and the factory that makes the number one selling vehicle in Germany right now. All this factory makes is Model Ys. Model Y is the number one vehicle in Germany. Just saying. All right. We can touch on this. I don't know. I actually brought it in for an article. So Netflix confirmed that their password sharing policy doesn't affect the Tesla cars uh, for a couple reasons. I think that is because the all the Tesla internet traffic goes through a Tesla VPN, so you always look like you're coming out of California or wherever they have the exit node there. And it's very easy to say, hey, these 10 IP addresses don't block them for family sharing, and that's in response to down here where uh, Netflix Canada and a couple others had accidentally released their new password sharing policy, and I say accidentally like that because it looked like they were testing a reaction to the policy. It The other reason I say that is because other than Canada, none of the places they actually implemented the policy speak English as their primary language. So it'd be a little weird to release the English policy rather than the local language, Portuguese, Spanish, or I forget all the places they did it, but it didn't look right. What's up, Robert William? Good to see you. And he said, "Glad you don't have Netflix." Yeah, they're coming for it. We'll see what happens with it. All right, so let's move on to the next one on the list is a tweet. And oh boy, this is a fun tweet. I am ready. It's a series of tweets, actually. It actually comes before another article I was going to suggest. Uh, so, hardware 4 on Tesla Model S and X has been approved in EU. And Green the Only got a hold of a hardware for MCU and hardware for they're one unit, but the hardware for MCU and autopilot computer from a Model X. He and I drive Model X's, but I don't tear mine apart. He does. So he says, I'm sure you're eager to learn about more about hardware 4, so I'm just going to show you the refresh car computer from Model X. Just don't tell anybody you saw it because it's still really secret. The unit made an appearance in the electronic parts catalog about a month ago, but the picture was hidden. And he's joking about that because later on somebody says, aren't you going to get in trouble? And he says, for taking a computer out of a car that's already been sold to the public? Nah. All right. Nobody will know. I'm not sure if you, I know enough to even ask this question properly, but do you have any comments on moving all the training data from hardware 3 to hardware 4? And he basically suggested that yes, it will need some retraining. And I don't know where the rest of the thread on this went. There we go. So it looks like Tesla started to build cars with it and does not deliver them yet. Imagine the plan is to announce on March 1st after all of the cars on the line are already having it. Because right now he's seeing that it's not a guarantee that just because your car was built after this one that's going to have hardware 4. They could be, streaming them in there in little spurts to train the folks on how to build them in the factory. But we'll see how that goes. Good evening, Anders. Good to see you. Hope it's a good night over there for you. And so Green starts with the bad news. As it stands today, this thing won't fit in existing cars that have hardware 3 or hardware 2. The form factor is totally different, so no refits are possible on this. Retrofits are possible on this one. The top and left is the new unit. The bottom and right is the current plaid unit. That's not to say they can't reissue a batch of these boards that actually fit and have the right voltage requirements. But right now it does take in 16 volts, which means that you need the new lithium starter battery and lithium low voltage battery, and none of the mounting holes line up for either the cooling hoses or the hardware like the fasteners. So you can't just go to the junkyard and grab one of these whenever it crashes and put it in your car and update your gateway. So here we have the old one, and here we have the new one. Notice that the cooling tubes are much further apart, whereas right here they're pretty close. And then we've got the new one and the old one. And then we've got the new one and the old one. So this is including the MCU1, or sorry, MCU1, the MCU4, and the Autopilot Computer 4. And then he's going to take them apart. He's already taken them apart. You can see the screws are missing. But in his tweet thread, he's going to take them apart. Okay, so now to the actual meat. Infotainment was reworked compared to the current units. The GPU is now on the same board, so there's no more like on the Model S and X, you've got the GPU, and on the 3 and Y, you've got the same board, but there's no cable connecting to the GPU, which is the cable and the board are missing. On this one, they're all on one board. So it sounds like either this is just for S and X, or the Model 3 and Y are going to get the GPU when they get this. But right now, he's only seen evidence of this happening on Model X. And like I keep saying, get what you want at the price you want. Don't wait for Tesla to actually do something, because with this change may come a bunch of other changes you don't want, or you do want, or the price may change. If you're always waiting for the next thing, you'll always be waiting for the next thing. But that said, if you're looking at June, you might be safe. I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens with the March 1st announcement, and we'll see what happens when folks like Green get their hands on fresh cars. All right, so oops, I didn't. This makes the whole unit thinner, obviously, and otherwise no changes there. Same 256 gig NVMe flash and 16 gigs of RAM, and the same AMD CPU and GPU. So this is just the MCU board. So of the two boards that are sitting in that case, this is just the one that does the screens. So the small screen, the big screen, and the backseat screen. And that is impressive. I'm guessing this is the GPU and that's the CPU. Possibly. Let's see. There's more RAM over here, and the RAM is cooled, or those VRMs. This might be the CPU and that's the GPU. They're both going to be huge. There we go. It's impressive to look at. All right, so let's continue the thread. He says there's a lot less improvement than many had hoped for. Still the same Samsung Exynos intellectual property base. Bumped cores from 12 to 20, so it now has 5 clusters of 4 cores each, maxing at 2.35 gigahertz and idles at 1.37 gigahertz. Number of chip cores has been increased from 2 to 3, and 2.3 gigahertz max. So 2.2 gigahertz max frequency on all, times 2, since there are 2 systems on a chip per board. Some internal blocks were renamed. SCS was renamed to SSS. SMS was renamed to SGK. And I imagine we'll get an earful about how much more secure the whole system is, because as the result, because they are not just signing, but also measuring execution now. Also about how everything is encrypted. He's being facetious. The device tree, he's pasted out to pastebin. They're using Linux kernel 5.4161 uh, RT67. Hopefully, they'll be quick with their GPL obligations. Uh, Hardware 3, they are still in violation for the longest time. Core boot is also in use. Hopefully, the patches are coming out soon. So, what he's saying here is that when you use open source softwares like Linux or any of the others, you have certain requirements. And in this case, that means publishing your changes. And Tesla hasn't done that. And apparently, they still haven't done it with Hardware 3. And Hardware 3, I got mine in 2019, and it was out before then. So, woo, good luck not getting a violation there. And Core Boot is he's suggesting that the version they're using is not um, the one to use because of patching. Redundancy is the name of the game this time. The board is mostly symmetric, identical power connections on each side. There's even network links to infotainment. Yet is you unpower if you unpower the A side, that kills the network switch and the link is lost. Still the improvements. So based on the discussion around this, it sounds like the network switch is just to get the information out to the MCU and the back screen and the other screens. So you still have, for now, identical hardware that can still talk to each other, even if, well, they can still do its stuff, even if one side is unpowered. Um, I guess it depends on how they built it, whether or not taking out one power supply still powers both sides, or if that half of the board goes down. But either way, right now they are at least duplicated. But as we saw on the NVIDIA board and on the Hardware 3 board, that eventually Tesla ran out of compute, and they were no longer running the same code on both chips. So let's take a look. So this one is the autopilot board inside that same housing that we saw. So you can see two of the same chip, same memory arrangement. Pretty much the only difference is the path that the power goes in and how the signals are arriving inside each of them. There's the underside. So he points out this was an MCU link 1, MCU link 2. But what he's suggesting is that this link goes down if you lose the power to that one. All right, sensors. There are now 12 fully populated camera connectors. One is marked spare. So he's now going to tell us about the camera changes that he sees. So make that 11 cameras, question mark. The names are a bit cryptic, so it looks like side cameras are in the front fenders now. So it sounds like they've moved the cameras up. So we don't know if it's going to be something like Lisa drew in her Twitter bio a while ago, where you had like a dual lens in that corner marker, where you had the current one that's looking backwards, and then the one that's in the B pillar today was looking forward from there. Or if they've got a new fender and it's got the side cameras for the that are in the B pillar are way up there. We'll find out probably on the first. So 11 cameras and in the front fenders now. Rumors of the two cameras in the windshield are confirmed. Properties unknown. So I don't know if I shared it here or not, but there were spy shots. I think I shared it here because it was in Chinese. Spy shots showing the camera housing that holds the triplex right now, and that had the single camera for Model S, and then the empty housing for the Model X, where it had just the one camera, and it looked like they were going to go binocular there, and then they didn't. Instead of having three cameras in there now, it has two cameras. They're 5 megapixels, and that's all we really know right now. And let's see. Two of them which are confirmed. The cameras are F-SVC, L-SVC, and R-SVC. The LFF rear, RFF rear, in front fenders, I guess, question mark. Selfie. Selfie has always been there for Model 3 and newer. So that would be the refreshed SMX, the Y, all of them. Cybertruck, semi-truck. Did you see the lyrics? Firefox modular phone. I don't know that I have, unless that was supposed to be Linux, and then yes, I have. Um, so the next cameras are wide, main, and backup. Okay, so I guess that's one's left and right, and then the other is the backup camera that we've come to know and love, which, from what we saw, has also been upgraded finally. LL L-FF side, uh, R-FF side, migrated from the front pillar to the fender? Question mark. And then he's showing us the connectors here. Main and LFF side, and wide, and RFF side. So he's asking what's SVC, you might wonder. According to the EPC, SVC is the bumper. So I would guess these are bumper cameras. So what he's saying here is that rather than using radars for the rear-facing cross car traffic detection, they're using cameras, which is a great idea. Uh, the radar is more expensive than a camera, and there are certain conditions where it doesn't do what you want. So we could put in, this is a 12 megapixel camera. You can put a 5 megapixel camera in, even better. Doesn't have to be expensive. Whereas I imagine that the radars are probably all at least $20. And they've already removed the ultrasonic sensors, not that they were very good for cross traffic anyway. All right, so let's see. So you typed in SVC into the parts catalog, and it came back with bumper fascia parts, or bumper fascia parts, however you want to pronounce it. Alerts, especially with the pillar moved forward, question mark. Oh, he was continuing his thought. Cross traffic alerts, yes. The new unit itself is big and unmarked, so who makes it is unknown. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhat custom Tesla thingy. They carry the bootloader and firmware. So this GPS module, and it is big for a GPS connector, isn't it? Triple band. So that suggests you've got probably American GPS, European. I forget what you guys call yours. I'm sorry. And then maybe the Russian GLONASS. All right, so radar. Right now, the radar. Yes, radar's back. He said, "Yes, of course there is," and that's what's called in the properties box too. There's also a radar heater, of course. Yeah, it'd be a little weird for them to bring back a radar and not bring back the radar heater. That would be failure to learn from your past lessons, right there. So driver assist hardware is AP4. Number of coolant loop pumps installed, dual mix. The security gateway level is off, apparently, or is not dev, one or the other. The number of motors is all-wheel drive, so it's probably not a plaid. eBuck config, not sure what that is. The ePass type, electric power assist steering control unit, Mando VGR66 Gen 3. The electronic parking brake hardware type, left is Mando P2, and the right parking brake is also a Mando P2. It'd be a little weird to have them different, but I guess you could. The Ethernet tuner type is Harman. All right. Exterior color was Midnight Silver, of course. And the forward radar hardware was Phoenix. Configured pack mass was null, so they didn't say how heavy the battery pack was. Configured park assist type is none, because why would they bring back the parking sensors? Configured passenger occupancy sensor type is IEEE OCS. That might be the millimeter wave radar or something else. I don't know what that comes out to be. Let's take a little look-see. Not IEEE, IEEE OCS. Classification system by IEE. All right, so this is a system called BodySense. Accurate passenger classification for smart and safe airbag control. Pretty cool stuff. Safety is something they pride themselves on, so good to see them talking the talk, or walking the talk, I should say. I used a new window and not recycled that one. Too late. All right, so the performance package is bass, which explains the dual motors instead of the three. Pedestrian warning sound is speaker. The PLC support type is native charge port. So I'm guessing that's a Tesla charge port with CCS. Configured radar heater type is Model X backer thin 3M, because that's what he was talking about, was the radar heater. The rear drive unit is Coriander single. Coriander. Interesting code name. Rear fog lamps are installed, as it is on my Model X, but I guess they could choose not to. The rear light type is global, which I'm guessing means that you get the amber turn signals instead of the stupid red ones. And on the Model X, through today, they've always been just kind of just a bicolored light that flips back and forth between amber and red. But if your brakes are on and your signals are on, it doesn't flip to red. It just stays flashing amber, which I don't know that's the best way to do it. Refrigerant client type is SAAA Limited. The refrigerant type is R134A, and the fridge filler type is unblocked. Reserve config is 0, and the restraint hardware is North America Model X P2 front side airbag. Cool. And the config right-hand drive is left, so it's left-hand steering wheel. This is a US car. Continuing on, side by side, hardware 3 is on top and hardware 4 is on bottom. He did flip the board facing the same way, but he probably should have flipped this board over so that the connections were as close to possible, as close to similar as possible, or flip that board, whichever. But he did what he did. And that's the autopilot board right there. Power consumption at idle is double hardware 3 based on his measurements, and those power pins are pretty massive, which makes the input 16 volts at 10 amps. The label somewhat suspect. So he's thinking that that it may be low, I guess. That or they overbuilt it. What about Model 3? He's not seen anything about Model 3 yet, and he doesn't think they're far behind, especially with news of retooling in China. Yeah, that's something we were going to discuss later in the show. They are looking like they're going to pause construction in Shanghai to make updates to their Model 3. And we usually see stuff hit the Model 3 over there first for some reason. Probably easier to get through the regulations. Special thank you to the people who help him satisfy his curiosity, which includes various hardware donations, useful advice, and he really appreciates all of us. High-res images of the board. Some questions. He's asking if they're going to keep supporting hardware 3, and yes, they will, because he says they still support the original hardware 2 and 1. He's asking if he should expect to see this in his car. He's expecting delivery in March, and he's hearing there's no longer the ultrasonic sensing, but are now switching back. What will I get? And he reminds them, with Tesla, you only know what you get when you see the car in person at delivery day. And if you don't like it, just refuse delivery. You will likely lose your delivery fee, though, if you do that. Or sorry, your order fee. Your order fee. You can reject for any reason. Even I decided I want hardware 4. Pretty much. Now, they might try to keep your reservation money, so come up with a plan on how to deal with that. Definitely don't pay them any more than that until you are ready to accept delivery, if this is important to you. If it's not important to you, just get your car and be happy because you know it got what was on the screen when you hit buy. I'll take delivery. I'm happy with my first Tesla. It's March 31st, so there might be a new config concerning all inventory is mostly gone. Maybe. Depends on how long your car has been in shipping. I bought all the hardware 4 stuff Green talks about. I thought all the hardware 4 stuff Green talks about is only for S and X, not 3 and Y. Brian says probably thought it was going out on Cybertruck first, but we'll see on March 1st. This guy claims Cybertruck doesn't exist. Hardware 4 can't be installed on something non-existent. It does exist, but it's not on sale yet. And to his point, Green said he got it off a Model X. Do you think the Cybertruck is going to be an empty shell? Do they obviously have plans with some sort of hardware in it? It's most likely going to be what they'd use hardware for. No, because there's Model X with it. Unless that Model X is a mule, which should not have been sold, then the Model X is real. So he says, you think this Model X with hardware 4 doesn't count as a hardware 4 debut? Exactly. So apparently he missed that part of the thread. He says, I didn't know it was releasing an X until today. So I said I thought it was coming out in Cybertruck first, but I'm sure before today most people thought the same. Yeah, I mean, why not? They didn't lead us to believe anything else, but they didn't tell us it wasn't either. Have they sold Model X with it yet? And he says, do you count sales to employees as sales? So that's a yes. Are there employees who bought a Model X or hardware 4? He just said yes. I heard it was true and S, but obviously they cannot drive them in public yet, and it's hearsay at best, so I cannot verify it myself. Okay, but that's not where I meant. I didn't mean to click on that. The chips must be out in some new A and X. I guess he meant S and X. The keys are close. The European Plaid has the best autopilot experience. Really? None? Can't compare with the S and X 2020 cars. Okay, so maybe. European Plaid have new line code in the headlights, etc. Open autopilot computer is the only way to be sure. I don't know what he's trying to say there. There's seemingly 3 bumper cams, 1 up front and 2 in the left and right corner somewhere. Asking about the camera config again. He's wondering if Tesla will sell hardware 4 to us, and he says this will not fit in your old car. And as I said, if they really want to, they can make the voltage work and they can make the mount points work. But don't go trying to obtain the new computer and stick it in your car and hope it'll work, because it won't. Will this mean every car that Tesla builds will be capable of fully autonomous driving from this minute forwards? And then Green jokes, I was reliably informed this was already the case as of October 2016. And then I responded, oh, my response isn't on there. Are there any microphones? He says yes in the cabin. I responded was it by the guy who owns this site now? And he says yes. I'm talking about Elon. Elon said that at some point, and we'll see what happens. Bilbo Baggins jokes, I summoned my Model S from LA to New York City in 2016, and it's been earning me 30,000 or so every year ever since. That's a joke. And this guy says, as was I, and I believed it then. Now, not so much. All right. Shall I cry now or later? I got my Model S refresh 3 months ago. Green says yes. Go ahead and cry. Similar situation, but I got my refresh X 6 months ago. Disappointing. There isn't a viable way, even for the plaid retrofit. And then Green points out that the way that Tesla's been since they stopped supporting my Model S is the paid retrofit is 1, sell your car. 1.5, add some money. 2, buy the new car. It's been the Tesla way for a long time now, at least 6 years. And be prepared to do it again if FSD is not ready. Tesla promises. True. Last I checked, cars had a finite lifespan, so just get one that meets your current requirements. Replace as it gets bad, i.e., the warranty runs out. We had this discussion in a private chat with some friends the other day, and several of them express that they, when the warranty runs out, they get new cars. Um, what I do is when the warranty runs out, I start getting ready to get a new car. I just drive so much that I can't keep a warranty on them. Out of curiosity and keeping it vague, if you can say, he wants to know if it came from Fremont or other. Since it's an X, it came from Fremont. X only comes from Fremont. Same with S. And I think we've reached the gist of this thread. How is the CPU the same if the number of cores went up? Double the power, what's the impact of this for end users? So he reminds them that the infotainment CPU is the same. It's the autopilot computer that has changed. If they would add a front-facing bumper camera for parking assist, why the freak would they remove the ultrasonic from cars without the extra camera? He says the contract on the sensors ran out, but the new sensor suite wasn't ready yet. Halfway joking. All right, so let's move on because the important part was that we could see it, and we could see some of the news that that Green had deduced from taking apart the systems. So this is in Reddit Starlink. Official Starlink Maritime is now available globally. So when you go to the Starlink site and go to Maritime, you'll see there are no areas that are not covered. Now remember that the Starlink Maritime costs $10,000 in hardware and $5,000 per month. Hey, baby, how are you? You coming to do the show? How about that? You say hi? You want to wave hi? You just gonna smile up? There we go. We got a wave. Yay! All right. So remember that the Starlink Maritime is $10,000 for the hardware and $5,000 per month for service, which might seem expensive, and I would find it expensive. However, it's way less expensive than the competition. Huh? It is. It totally is. It's a lot though. All right. So let's go to starlink.com. We'll go to Maritime, and then we'll look at the map. They've got cells all over the water. It used to have a coverage zone, just like you look at when you look at your local country or continent, and they say, "Hey, yeah, it's not really available outside of this region." Or it's available everywhere but here. So the new Maritime dish is the flat dishy, which is the high performance dish without the motors and stuff like you see on these two. But I think you still get a choice of which one you want. But it has such a wide field of view that they don't really need to turn it around, especially since there shouldn't really be any trees in the ocean. Well, at least not ones that can block your signal. It might be floating like this. It does offer pay as you go, so it's like an expensive version of the um, RV plan. So this one has got one dish. I don't see a second dish. So plus, this isn't necessarily the kind of, depending on how big it is. If this is a family uh for like a full-time RV or but full-time sailor family, they might have just used the Starlink for RV plan with the high performance dish, which is also available. But there should be another dish here. Anyway, so that was that. Moving on. So where you and I will most likely see that is if we ever get on a cruise and we use the internet. A lot of the cruise lines have turned to making it their internet provider of choice. Fine, I'll accept your cookies. Green Car Reports is showing us that the Sono crash tests have revealed that its Scion solar EV panels behave as predicted. Question is, the panels are supposed to be all over the body of the car, but these are green. Are they painted over? What's the deal here? Yeah, so there's the Sono in render form, or at least a photo of one of the prototypes. The test was performed at a specialist facility in CSI, Italy, and will be the many a first for Scion. Sono anticipates around 300 crash tests to homologate the Scion under European New Car Assessment Program. So we're gonna get some NCAP crash tests as well. It's only accepting reservations from European customers right now. So Robert and Andrews will have to tell us when they start seeing them on the streets. So think of it as another way to do what Aptera is doing. 4 wheels, 4 doors. They're saying it wasn't speedy. I was hoping to see some photos or videos of the crash test, but it doesn't look like Steven has included any links to that. I don't see it. Well, just know they're doing the tests. Let's see if anybody has a link to it. So when the car crashed, are we going to waste more solar panels because they were likely to be scrapped? Well, yeah. Why can't we agree that we need to put them on the roof first? Why not do both? Putting them on the roof is a good idea to run the computers and climate controls. Oh, no. He means the roof of the house, guy, not the roof of the car. Putting them on the doors is a complete waste of resources and money. I wouldn't say complete, but it's not the most efficient. Why can't we just agree it's a good idea to put them on everything? I agree. Before we plant them somewhere in nature. Yeah, so put them on stuff you're already building before you tear up fresh ground to make them. Yeah, I can't hear now. You're taking my headphones off. Yeah. Did you have a good nap? Did you have a good nap? You did? Then what happened? Really? I don't know what that sign means. She's making a sign like this. Okay. What'd you do after that? You played with your face? Oh, you played my headphones. Yeah, I see that. I see that. I feel it. You're pulling my head. All right, so let's move on. The comments aren't really going anywhere. Nissan Leaf with 13,000 RPM Kawasaki bike engine is a hybrid and track monster. So this Nissan Leaf is down to 25 miles of range, and rather than we don't bite that, rather than are you done? No, you're not eating that either way. So anyway, this is one of the Nissan Leafs that got down to 25 miles of range, and the owner decided that he was going to turn it into a fun little project car. He did not take away the electric drive components, so it's now a plug-in hybrid between a Kawasaki motorcycle engine and a Nissan Leaf with 25 miles of range, plus whatever it can grab from regen from the gas car. Most Leafs are just front wheel drive, but this one is all wheel drive because of how he did the conversion. Yeah, just maybe this one. So what he did was, here you can see he's got an air scoop so he can breathe fresh air because combustion cars need that. And He left the front all the same, but in the back he's got this Kawasaki engine, and then the exhaust. What do they call it? He's got a special type of yeah, arrangement of the panels so that it can actually exhaust rather than just cut a hole in the floor. Being front wheel drive. What? Are you pooping? Are you just mad? Oh, you're mad? Well, I'm sorry. So stuffing the Kawasaki in the trunk was the easiest and cheapest path to building Young's motorcycle-powered car. Of course, it's not as simple as just throwing an engine in there. Some heavy modifications were needed. Thankfully, being an engineer, he was up to the task. To mount the four-cycle, he modified a Lexus IS 350 rear subframe to fit into the rear of the Leaf. And once the subframe was fitted, he was able to mount the engine via custom brackets. Getting the engine to drive the rear axles was a bit trickier, but he had to connect the sequential transmission chain to an idler sprocket, which then turned the differential. The differential came from a Quaife. I'm not familiar with that vehicle, and is meant specifically for putting motorcycle engines in cars. So he's not the only one to do something like this. Yeah. With the engine in the trunk, separated it from the rest of the cabin with an acrylic wall, and he fed air from a side window mounted air intake that we saw in the first photo. And for air to exit the radiator, he built a gurney flat. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Gurney flat at the back of the rear liftgate, creating a low pressure area in which the exit flap could open. There we go. So here we can see, I'm guessing that's his gear shifter, because the park brake and the park pawl are still there from the electric. And he said, you might think that after swapping the engine, he scrapped the Leaf stock powertrain, but the opposite is true. Not only did he keep the stock engine, stock motor and battery, he turned it into a fully functioning all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid. A dial on the dashboard adjusts the level of hybrid intervention that he wants, so that Young can choose a 1-to-1 hybrid setting, both the electric and motor, pure EV mode, or an engine-biased max power mode. This would also let him still do, assuming that it's not illegal to modify your critters in these places with pollution control. He would be able to do his 25 miles as an EV and not have to worry about paying his gas fee for the combustion congestion charges. Yes, sweetie. How can I help you? What would you like to say? You just want me to look at you? How about you look at them and we can read the news together? Why are you doing squats on my leg? You did. You sit down and you sit up and you sit down and you sit up. You did. I watched you. Yeah, there you go again. See, do squats. Wait. Ah. And then what? You want to read what's next? Oh, you don't? Eh. So anyway, there's a video. Let's see. Hey, it's Renee. Aw, hello. Good to see you guys. Aw, so cute. All right, so if you guys want to see the video after the show, I'll put a link right here in the chat. Ow. Ow. You sure that doesn't hurt? It hurt me. All right, so next, we've got one of the bigger stories of the week. It's mostly a nothing burger, but it is a big story. So Tesla has recalled 362,758 vehicles in the United States. What's interesting about this is, At some point, Tesla had said that they sold 400,000 cars with FSD beta or FSD package, I should say. These cars are running the beta. So my question then is this all the beta vehicles in the United States, or is it all the vehicles in mainland US and Hawaii and Canada? Because do Puerto Rico and the territories count or not? Not that it's a huge difference, but if they do, then that's easy. The rest of the 400,000 are in Canada. If they don't, then how many of the remainder are Canadian and how many are the rest of the United States? And I don't know if you can buy FSD in Mexico or not, but then also them as well. I like that, Bennett. If folks haven't created a food chain named Nothing Burger, someone needs to get on that. I think we could do one of them virtual restaurants like Mr. Beast, and then like he's got the Beast Burger. We could do the Nothing Burger, and it could be like I don't know. We could do like the Impossible Burger, and we could do how would we make a Nothing Burger out of uh, animals, or we could just not make it out of animals, and then everybody was these aren't burgers, these are plants. Yes, interesting. Might be something worth looking into. So the reason I say this is nothing is because this is, as we keep saying, the recall terminology is problematic because when people in the news and people who don't own a car that can update over the air, like the Volkswagens we talked about last week, when they hear the word recall, it means, oh man, I got to take time off, go to the dealer, or in the case of that Mercedes last year, where they said with the stop drive order, now I got to make sure that my gate's open so that somebody can come grab my Mercedes out of my driveway and leave me a loaner car. Okay, so everybody who owns a Mercedes doesn't have a private driveway like that, but you get my point. Like either you're having to go stop in the dealership, or they're coming to you, and most of these Tesla recalls are not that, except for stuff like the when they had the seatbelt adjustment issue, and they had the rear camera on the Model 3 where the cable was made of the wrong material, so it would get brittle and break. Um, Most of these recalls for Tesla over the last couple of years have been software, and a lot of them are fixed before they even make the notice. So then they have to go mail everybody who had the state at the time they declared the recall and say, hey, your car needed a software update that you got 6 weeks ago, and thanks for wasting the trees and stamps. Exactly. So this, I do. I'm not saying that you don't need to notify, but we we and Elon also said we need to reevaluate how we do this, how we call it, and how we report it. Because if you've already got the update, do I need to take the time to warn you about this thing that you already did? Not really. Um, exactly. If you've got the download sitting in your queue and you're not pushing it, I need to tell you why, right? And then I would email you, write you a letter, pop a message up on your screen. Maybe not all at once. Maybe kind of escalate the communication until you fix it. And if it's severe enough, there was one update so far that I've been able to find that Tesla pushed without asking you. They just pushed it to the cars, but they're not very big on doing that. So it must have been a really big issue because they even got to the point where you could run your update so far out that you couldn't actually receive the next update over the air. So the only way to get your car updated after that was you had to make a trip to service, and they had to plug in the laptop and update your chips over the wire. And if you did that, they would charge you for their time because you could have done it for free in your driveway or at a supercharger or wherever your car could get a solid connection. Can I have my hand back? Thank you. Robert says he's going to have vegan lemon cheesecake, gluten-free. That sounds tasty. I like lemon. All right, so like I said, so sometimes you need to let people know because the conditions are somewhat serious. And the condition here is that Tesla is voluntarily recalling 6,000, the same 362,758 vehicles because Its experimental driver assistance software, marketed as full self-driving beta, may cause crashes. The recall notice was posted to the website of the NHTSA on Thursday, and Tesla will have an over-the-air software update to address the car's um, issues, said the notice. So let's go to the notice, because why not? It's a little better than just reading a news source, which has been problematic with Tesla in the past. Like I said, I tend to do it in the order I get them in, and so that was the first one that I saw it in. So this is I'm not going with you. You got to crawl or walk on your own. Yep. And don't touch those servers. Yeah, you can crawl. Go ahead. You can play your toy. I thought you were going somewhere. Where were you going? She might pass the marshmallow test after all. She loves to play with that toy. So anyway, here we go. This is coming from the NHTSA themselves, nhtsa.gov, and this was issued on February 15th. It's campaign number 23 Victor 085000. Manufacturer is Tesla. The components are the steering column, electrical system, and interesting that they put this as a steering problem. So that's another thing that tells you that this system isn't built for what we're using it for. They don't even have a way to recall the software. They're recalling the steering column. Anyway, let's continue on. So same number of vehicles as NBC said, and Tesla's recalling certain 2016 to 2023 Model S, X, 2017 to 2023 Model 3, and 2020 to 2023 Model Y vehicles equipped with full self-driving beta. So that's every car that's got full self-driving beta, including the ones that have a pending download of FSD beta, but not actually installed. Oh, it says it right there. Software or pending installation. The FSD beta system may allow the vehicle to act in an unsafe, to allow the vehicle to act unsafe around intersections, such as traveling straight through an intersection while in a turn-only lane. I did that the other day on my own. The markings were not clear and traffic was just rolling, so I had to do it. Anyway, continuing on. Continuing straight through a turn-only lane, entering a stop sign controlled intersection without coming to a complete stop. I've only seen that when it's well, after they got rid of the rolling stops. I've only seen that in a completely empty intersection, and the speedometer will be at 0, but you'll still have momentum, like in your body and in the cargo, and then you'll start going again because it hit 0, and then it keeps going. It meant they don't say stop for a beat; they say stop. So it stopped, and then it started again. So now it sounds like they're going to stop for the beat, and or proceeding into an intersection during a steady yellow traffic signal without due caution. So I've seen this as well, and it's also something I've done before. You approach a yellow light, and somehow the car knows how long these things last. It's only been caught twice on my car, and I know that when I've tried to flex a yellow light, I've been wrong more than twice, and so it feels like the car does what I do, and it'll speed up a little bit to make the light. It doesn't appear that it goes much faster than the set speed, though. So I would say it's probably safer at doing it than a human. Most often, when I approach a yellow light, the car would just stop. If for some reason it couldn't see the change, or I don't know how it's determining whether it's going to make it or not, but for most lights, it just stops. But for some, it'll proceed through, and that's something that the NHTSA did not like. And they didn't say don't go. They're just saying that they don't. Come on, computer. There we go. They're saying they don't think it was due caution, so they're thinking it should do it safer than it doesn't. They think it YOLOs it, and it feels that way, but it's not. It's definitely watching the cross traffic. Bennett says, in comparison, several Ford vehicles this month have a recall about not actually being in park when the selector says park, yet nothing in the news. Ouch, that's huge. Yeah, so, as Ben is saying, the coverage is not on an equal field. Now here, every recall I come across, for the most part, I'll share it as far as like if it's affecting our little field of green cars. I've got one later in the show for a combustion Ford truck. I don't think it's this one, but I just happened to come across it, so I've got it. But typically, I don't put these combustion vehicles uh, in our recall segments just because I'm not interested in them. So anyway, in addition, the system may respond insufficiently to changes in posted speed limits or not adequately account for the driver's adjustment of the vehicle's speed to exceed posted speed limits. So here they're talking about right now the car will go past the speed limit sign while in city streets beta, and it'll adjust the speed, but it'll coast down to that new limit. But these are electric cars, so they have very little internal friction, and if depending on what tires you have, they may have very little external friction as well. And you could get miles down the road before it actually changes to the new set speed. Whereas on the navigate on autopilot on the highway and on free autopilot or basic autopilot, depending on when you got it and how you paid for it, they all will they still wait till you pass the sign before they lower the speed limit, which will get you a ticket if anybody is being petty about it, because you need to be at the new speed by the time you cross the line. So the car will cross the line and then drop the speed, and then within a few hundred feet, depending on how fast you're going and how drastic the drop was, the car will be doing that new speed in short order. But on City Streets Beta, it will not be doing that speed until it naturally coasts down with no input to that new speed, and it doesn't regen, it just cuts the power. And so it's coasting until it gets to that speed. But the only other way you'll find yourself at that speed in a reasonable amount of time is if there's somebody in front of you, or there's a stoplight, stop sign, or an obstacle that causes the car to actually push the brakes or do a little bit of regen to keep the speed in check. Even if you manually, if you have a S and X, I'm doing the motion to flip down the autopilot stock, or if you have any other car and you scroll down the speed on the cruise control, it'll acknowledge you and it'll coast to that new speed, which is problematic. And NHTSA agrees. And let's see, or not adequately account for the driver's adjustment to the vehicle speed to exceed posted speed limits. That's another one that comes up. Is sometimes, and this happens not just in the Tesla, but in all cars that read or know about either from the map or from street signs, they know the signs. Sometimes they don't see the sign and they don't adjust the speed, so you can be going at extra legal speeds when the town has decided they would drop your speed on you. So Tesla will release an over-the-air software update free of charge. Owner notification letters are expected to be mailed by April 15th, 2023. Owners may contact Tesla service at this phone number. I'm curious if it'll even work. Tesla's number for the recall is this. I could totally make that call on air right now, except that one, it would waste their time and mine, and two, the phone with service is not hooked up to this audio system. The phone without a SIM is. It was up phone upgrade time, and so I'm on one of those plans where you get a free phone if you just keep them on the trade-in. Bennett says, yeah, going from 55 to 35, it's really slow about slowing down. I need to kick it out of FSD for that, so I don't end up a quarter mile into downtown or quarter of the way into downtown, Nowhereville, going 51 miles an hour. Exactly. That's something I run into too. And that's exactly what I'll do. Is I'll manually steer. I'll cancel the autopilot with my pinky because that's where the stock is. I'll cancel autopilot, or if for some reason my hand won't reach for whatever reason, like maybe I'm using the right hand instead of the left, I'll tap the brakes real quick, and that turns off autopilot, and then I'll just kind of steer it down until it coasts down. Another thing I tend to do, especially if I'm in a place where I know that there's somebody waiting right at that line that the speed sign is, I will cancel autopilot or cruise control or whatever, get down to the speed, and then after I cross the sign, I'll turn on autopilot or cruise control again. That way, I've avoided a ticket from somebody trying to generate some revenue. Quarter mile, yeah, it takes a long time to to get down to speed because it coasts so well. And part of the reason that it's able to get such great fuel economy is because it coasts so well. Yeah. So if any of your friends or family or people who like to point at you and say, "Ha ha ha, I was right," if they have some mess to say, you can point out, this is nothing. Like, how many humans don't do this at least once or twice in their lives? How many humans do it all the time? Like in certain parts of the country, I don't go on green right away because I know there's going to be like six cars running the red light. Speaking particularly North and South Carolina and Florida, uh, it's like, okay, now I can go. And in only certain towns. Others they're very much more predictable. The lights that stop, they stop within reasonable, assuming they weren't racing the yellow light. And certain places with just poorly designed turning signals, you'll see the light turn red, and then you'll see the turn lane clear out, or the other way around, it turns green, and the turning lane clears out before people start to go. But that's all not to say legal, but it is local custom, and that's something that's going to be harder to let the car adjust for, but something that they're going to have to deal with. All right, so we got to the NHTSA, and now I'm going to load up another batch of articles. I did restart the browser this time. It wasn't really by choice. I was working on a video and the browser crashed, and I had so many tabs that it wouldn't come back. So I recovered the ones that needed to stay open, and the others are in a text file for me to sort through. All that to say that I still need to be careful how many I open right now. All right, so we're gonna have a bunch of Drive Tesla articles in a row because I emptied out the old phone, and like I said, it's just the order I find them in. And I liked the order the AI put the beginning of the show in. What did you guys think? Leave me a comment. Like, did you like that that was the order of the first 10-ish stories, or could it have done better? So Musk responds on the FSD recall. So we were talking about that just a minute ago, and my dad and workers showed me this. I was like, "Oh, it's just another over-the-air update." They were like, "Oh, okay, that's not bad. This is what we're talking about. Like, we need a new name and a new system for these because um, there are different severity levels right now. We've got where, say, your seat heaters might not always turn on when you turn them on. That's not urgent. You don't have to stop your trip and spend 50 minutes updating your car. I know that the Model 3, Y, and the new cars update faster, but I've got an old car. It takes 50 minutes to update. Um, or, hey, the cross traffic system might not always see what's going on, so you need to be more vigilant. Okay, I might stop and update for that, but I might not. Hey, we've determined like the update that I got where I downgraded my car live on air last year. Um, hey, the car's got a substantial increase in phantom braking and false warning alerts as far as like strikes on the self driving system. Um, that one I would take the time, pull over, stop, update the car, and do it. This one here about it running red lights and stuff, you're already supposed to be paying attention, so I would just do that when I got to my destination. But we need a severity level for that. And then also, like we saw last week with VW, where there's a software update where the car could fail to drive. That would be one I'd stop and do. But in VW's case, you have to go to the dealership. So that would be one where I'd pull out my app and schedule service, or in VW's case, call my dealership, wait on hold, schedule the appointment, deal with it. Um, Depending on the dealership, I might set it online, but man, I've been to a lot of dealerships where they don't have a cohesive online program. So even if I sent it in over the web, I would then call up, and be like, "Hey, last night I sent this service request. You got it? Are we good?" That's just me. I don't mind bird dogging my own stuff. Hi, Evie. Are you coming back? That's fine. Bye bye. Stay off those books. All right. So yeah, Elon is right on this one, and is this just a link to this? Yeah, it's a link to the CNBC version of the article that we just read. So I'm going to continue to say we need something better for that. Hey, happy Cake Day, Tesla Lounge. And let's go on to this next article. Oh, it wasn't Ford. I was talking about Ram Cummins diesel powered trucks. 3,400. Sorry, 340,000 of them. So roughly the same amount as were just recalled for having FSD. The other thing to remember is uh, FSD costs a lot. So some people were lucky and got it for $3,500. Some people got it for $5,000. Most people got it for $7,000 to $7,500. And everyone getting it today is getting it for $15,000 unless they get some sort of special deal either from Tesla or from their sales advisor. It's still expensive no matter what the deal is. It just might not be 15,000. And then just like we saw last week with the older gentleman, you don't have to ever use it even though you bought it. Um, but these Ram 340,000 diesel trucks, they've been recalled for fire risk. Let's see. They've been ordered to park outside due to the risk of fire. These vehicles use an older type of heater grid connector that is no longer in use. A similar recall was performed in 2021, covering a smaller number of trucks. Included in this latest recall are 2021 to 2023 Ram 2500 and 3500 pickup trucks, along with the Ram 3500, 4500, and 5500 chassis cab models. Official documents for I don't want to buy one. Official documents for this latest fire-related recall have not been posted to the NHTSA. The similar recall, however, said owners are advised to park these vehicles outside of buildings or structures and not near other vehicles until the vehicle has been remedied. So it's not surprising that CNBC reports that Stellantis is again advising owners to park their vehicles outside. A total of 306,165 trucks were affected by this recall sold in the US, and 21,988 more were sold in Canada. The remaining 12,590 were sold outside of North America, and all the affected trucks are powered by Ram's 6.7-liter Cummins diesel engine. So bigger, bold. Exactly, Dan. Exactly. um, I think that our stop drive recall was also a gas vehicle as well. The one from Mercedes. They said, "Don't drive. We'll come get it from you." And again, the comments don't work. That's fine. Dawood says, if every parking garage banned cars due to fire risk, there would be no cars left to park. This is true. This is totally true. All right, so the next one I've got a video, but I need to get it straight for you guys because it's got music. All right, so we'll do this, and we'll do this, and then we'll share this tab instead. And then I'll try to make it bigger without blowing my screen up. Hey, there we go. So if I'm sharing the screen, it knows to limit it, but if I'm not sharing the screen, my whole view. All right, so this is, I don't know if they said where. What this is probably Germany, and it's a bunch of train cars full of Model Ys. Most of them are white because apparently that's the free color again. It's being recorded from a car. It looks like it's too deep. Like you see this in another set of train cars on the other side of the cars with the Model Y. Yep, see those ones are empty. So there we go. Let's see what the guy had to say about it. Level 0 at Porto Zeebridge. That's a Model Y train. Loaded onto the train, and I'm sure I'm screwing up the name, Zeebridge, are going to be unloaded and go on a ship, question mark. It's a good question. And he says unloading for distribution. So they've arrived in. Let's see what this is. Where it is. It's in Europe, to the entire Europe. The first major shipment of right-hand drive Model 3 for the UK and Philipport has also reached support of ZBridge. These ones actually have some color, but that was in 2019. Same place. This was February. Tesla picture of the day. Yeah, I do run into this sometimes when I'm on the right roads. You just see a couple of Tesla delivery trucks roll through. It'd be awesome to see them be Tesla semis doing this. They just need to change the fairing out on them. So that was fun. Moving on. Tesla has dropped the price of the CCS adapter to $175, making it easier to have universal fast charging. However, when I checked my app several times this week, it still says check back in early 2023 for CCS adapter retrofit. So if your car says CCS enabled when you go to the software screen and then you click the about and you click more info about my car and it tells you CCS enabled, then you can buy this. If you can't, then you got to go on your service app and make a retrofit request. But it's not ready for that yet. So it used to cost $250. In Canadian dollars, it was $340, and now it's $240. And in the US, it's the $175. And so you try to add to your cart. You have to sign in first because cars like mine are not compatible without the adjustment. There we go. I bought one of these through Korea before they're available to the US for road trips and camping in the Sierras. On a road trip, CCS is never going to be your first choice because on a Tesla because the chargers are generally less reliable and slower. However, besides the occasional foray into areas with sparse chargers, the other useful cases for me are free 50 kilowatt chargers at many California's highway rest stops. Shh, they're a secret. At least it seems that way from the amount they're used, or for topping off remote gas stations along 80 before hopping into multi-day trips into the wilderness after climbing the mountains. The other time is the very rare time when you get to a supercharger site and they're all down. Kyle Connor ran into this recently, and so he was able to take his CCS adapter and go charge on the CCS, whereas some owners didn't know the difference between this adapter and the J1772 adapter, which is much smaller and sleeker. It's kind of just like a little round tube, looks like this. But the CCS one is much more bulky because you need the DC pins, you need the latch, all of this. So he was able to take this and charge, but some people were coming over with the small AC adapter and finding they were still stuck. And then my friend Sergio was like, "See, they do go down." I was like, "Yes, I know this. I've seen two down myself. One was the site didn't have power, so since they didn't have battery backed superchargers back then, that meant the supercharger went down. And another one was shortly after a hurricane. I needed to go bypass a town, and thankfully the car mapped me around the place. But the supercharger I needed to use was shut because the road was closed. Not that the supercharger was flooded, but the road into the town that the supercharger was in was flooded. I hear you laughing. You playing? Oh, you playing with the books again? Hmm. Books, huh? Hmm. Robert says he saw a white Peugeot 208E running out of power in city center here today. I mean, that's hard to do in an EV. I mean, I guess it's easy enough to do it on purpose, but it's hard to do on accident because the car gives you all of these warnings. Not to mess it up. All right, so over here, Rivian is going to launch an integrated dash cam feature soon through over-the-air updates. So that's going to be very much like we have with Sentry Mode and Tesla Cam, and it'll be on the Rivian. Rivian does have something like Tesla Sentry Mode with their gear guard feature. That's already out today in their cars. Oh, does it say when? Da, 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 da. April. Ring car cam. Integrated solution is coming soon, and over-the-air update. John says, I wish Rivian had a dash cam, but it's pretty exciting to give ring cam a try. Interesting. So I like that. He says, yeah, we got it. You are new. Good morning, afternoon. Yes. Absolutely. So this could be an option for those of you that don't have a car that has cameras that can be tapped into, like the Rivian or the Teslas, um, or some Corvettes, you can get the ring cam. I haven't tried it. I don't know anything about it, so uh, then it's telling us how Tesla cam has helped people in the past. Tesla's offering discounts of up to $11,500 on Model S and X cars in existing inventory in Canada. So similar to what we saw last month with the S and X and some of the Model Ys, is now continued on to Canada, which further leads question about, are they clearing out inventory before Harbor 4 comes out? Who knows? But at 11,500 off, plus you pay for FSD, you get FSD for cheap, or you don't use FSD at all. I mean, that's a lot of money, especially if you lease it. All right, so if you've been on the fence, this is, of course, if you don't mind missing out on Harbor 4, potentially. Let's see, dual motor all-wheel drive Model S selling for $1,300, $135,000. Just 12 days into the new year, Tesla slashes prices on their vehicles, bringing it down to $122,990, 11% reduction in price. New price isn't low enough. You can place an order. There are a number of new and demo Model S sedans listed in inventory, but substantial discounts. Remember, for the demo cars, you get a discount because of the demo. You get a discount for the miles. You get a discount for the age. Biggest discount is on 2023 Model S in Richmond, BC. This former demo vehicle has 1,200 miles on the odometer, which is enough for Tesla to reduce the price by $10,890 to $112,100. That's a substantial deal right there. Do it. I mean, if you are in the market for the car and can afford it and all that, obviously. Mileage is too high and you're looking for a new one, the best deal is on a white 2023 Model S, so 10th wheels, 33 on the odometer in Quebec for $116,000. That's not bad either. Just 6,510 according to I say just, but compared to what the other one was. Same for the Model X. There we go. Moving on. So another way Tesla's trying to move S and X is they're contacting people like me with a trade-in bonus. Hey, bring your Model S and X that has unlimited supercharging back and get another Model S and X, and we'll give you $5,000 bonus. Now, as I pointed out, I've almost used $3,000 of supercharging, so I don't know that I'm ready to give up free supercharging just yet, especially since there is very limited difference for me for the new Model X as far as the utility of the vehicle. Yeah, the computer's faster. Yeah, it's got a new screen. Yeah, it's got a yoke out of the box. Yes, it's faster, but I mean, is a P100D not fast enough? The doors still work the same. It's still got the same issues with the shutter and so forth. It's like I'll hold off and do the Cybertruck thing. It's not enough difference that 5,000 is enough to try and reset everything on the Model X. Exactly. Just like you had said, no. I like my free charging. And I'm not sure. Greetings, Timothy. Absolutely. And an email to employees notifying them of the new program, a copy of which was obtained by Drive Tesla, and a few customers have received as well. Maybe not the exact email, but the same message. The automaker says they're introducing this as an offer to create lifelong customers at the forefront of their mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. They first started offering unlimited supercharging with the production of the Model S in 2012. What made the perk even more attractive is it was transferable to new owners if you sold your car. It was, not the new one. The new one is for the life of the ownership of the car. And then now after that, it's just a certain amount of free miles that you get. I wonder if you can combine this with any of the free miles packages they were offering, where it's like free miles for 3 years or free miles for X amount of package of miles. Robert says his electric bill's up again, and your new him says that Uh, if you travel, that free supercharging is everything. Absolutely. Unlimited supercharging is a heck of a thing. I'd drive it until they run out of parts for it. Like, that's my plan. Like, even if that's not my daily driver, I'm going to keep it ready to go. Especially, if they try to shove me an Uber or something. Dude says I'll keep my free charging. I'll only give it up for Cybertruck. Yeah, if I have to just have one, but if it's paid off, which it should be by the time that the Cybertruck is there, and where I am now, the upkeep on it is very low. A couple kilowatt hours a month, keep it from draining the pack. Some tires every now and then, some wipers. Yeah, I think it's especially like for like a medium range road trip. I think it'd be great. So you want to do another cross country trip? It might make more sense to take the Cybertruck just because there's less stopping. I don't know. We'll see what actually happens when they call my number, and I'll say, where are we at? If it's where I planned it to be, it'll be right online. Dawood, tell us about free charging.
It's only because my wife and I were talking about this today. So I said, let's jump in.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, because we're actually planning a road trip, and we're going back and forth between taking the Y
right.
or the X.
And the X is free charging, and the Y has
X is
safe
free
charging.
charging, right? Free charging. So I did my calculation. We're looking at saving like $125.
Ooh, that's
Um,
special.
It's something. It's something. You save the $125, but then you got to add almost an hour and a half of
Right,
charging time, if not more. And
right,
then we're planning this trip, leaving home at after work, so we're
right,
not going to get to like to Hollywood until um, like midnight, 1 in the morning, and that
right.
makes a difference. If you got to
It
be up
does.
to go to the theme park the next day, if you
Right,
get in at 3 o'clock versus midnight, just that extra 2 hours of sleep is like 2 more hours of fun you're gonna have.
right. Especially if there's no amenities that are worth stopping on their own for at the charger, because some
Right.
superchargers are at really nice sites, and others are like, all
But I
right,
mean,
here we
because
are.
our right, well, our travel plan is just hitting the road after work. We'll have to stop somewhere to eat, but other than that, we're just trying to smash through as fast as we can. It's
Right.
gonna be it's gonna be nighttime. Everything's gonna be closed anyway.
Exactly. And another thing to point out on your car, you've got a mid-range battery, and it's a
Yeah.
little older, so it doesn't charge as fast as it could charge twice over.
Right. We'll get it up. I'll see it hit like 112 for
Wow.
just a second, and it's back down.
So even an upgraded Gen 1 charger can take care of you.
Yeah, that's all I need. I go to V2s just for the fun of it. That
Yeah.
makes no
And the
difference.
V3, all it gives you is consistency, so you don't have to worry about the cable getting hot.
Exactly.
uh,
So yeah, only
I,
only other thing we're looking at. My car though, the X, the seats are more comfortable. You
yes.
get that higher ride height. We got the third row, so we got the three girls, and then my oldest daughter is just recovering from the ACL
Oh,
surgery, so
so you need
she's
more room.
most comfortable in the front seat. My wife is like, I don't sit in the back seat, so
Oh,
we got a problem here.
yes.
Well, I told her she could sit in the front seat the whole way if she drives, but that's
Is it
that's
the right foot
also
or the
not
left foot?
that's not gonna happen either.
Oh. Uh,
So
Eddie says, swing by and say hi.
that's true. That's true. I'll say what's up, Eddie. We got a tight schedule though. Maybe we can meet you at we'll hopefully do the Peterson Museum. I want to see the Cybertruck there.
Yeah. Uh, I want to see that too. I got to find a way to make the time. Bennett points out that the Y screen while waiting is a big bonus compared to the unrefreshed X with unlimited charging. Yeah, because now you got like a 15-inch screen instead of a 10-inch screen. Because
Hmm.
uh, yes, the X has a 17-inch screen, but the video is going to be
Right. It's
at the top
letterbox still.
letterbox. Yeah.
True. But you don't get to watch it. It just still charges so fast. You don't even get through a show. I can get through a
Right, you have
whole
to do a
hour
TV show like
episode.
a sitcom or something, 30 minutes or less. Like a 20-minute with commercials. um, they're both a good size, so why not use the free charging? Well, if the charging is slow, yeah, exactly.
It's
If the charging
slow.
is slow, it changes your plans a little bit.
It does. I mean, it's amazing how much time that charging adds
Yeah.
to the slow one compared to the fast charging.
But sometimes if you look at your route, sometimes your the chargers you go through are like 8 times the home charging price, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna take the free charging anyway.
That's true. That's true. Most of my I looked at them. My route, they're looking at like 42 cents per kilowatt hour. There's only one of them that's going to be 22 cents, but that's only after midnight.
Okay.
So we figure we can do that one um, when I get to the hotel. So I don't have to go to the hotel, get them
Right.
all checked in, run out, plug the car in, and then go to sleep. Wake up an hour later and unplug the car.
Right. So what kind of sessions do you usually take on your Model Y? About 50 kilowatt hours?
Um, oh,
Or
how
less?
much we're adding?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about yeah, about that much.
Okay.
About that much, about 50.
Because that's what I'm noticing on the X is it's still nominal capacity 102 kilowatt hours is what it was new, and I don't know what it is now. I guess I could do the math, but
Mhm,
I typically drive from 90% to 30%, and I'm filling up again the 60% when I get back from where I
mhm.
was going, unless it's one of my mega trips. My mega trips, then I'll go down to 20 or 10%, and then
Right.
top it back up to it slows down again, and they keep on rolling. I need to hurry
Mhm.
finish that video and get it out, but uh, I'll go up to 80% depending on what the needs are and how full the network is. Because there's some places where there are no alternate stations, but if
Mhm.
I've got an alternate station, the car says you get there at 3%, and it's not inclement weather. I'll unplug and arrive at 3%. I don't care. But
It is funny how there's recommendations of how to do it, but when you're driving, when you're actually doing it, the way you feel changes it. And they
yep,
certainly say, well, don't go to 100% or past 90% because it takes longer. But sometimes when we're at the charger, we just feel like, well, we don't want to stop again. We're already here. So
right,
it's going
right,
to
yeah.
take
If
longer to get to
right,
95%. But
yeah,
we,
if
we
that's
already
enough,
we're watching the show, we're chilling.
exactly.
you know?
Yeah, if I'm not in a time crunch and that amount of waiting is enough to allow me to skip a stop completely,
Yeah.
I'll consider it. The other time you'll see me do it is if it's inclement weather, there's holes in the network, like either the station down or I'm in some part of the country that just doesn't have coverage, or if I'm towing. If I'm towing, I'll do whatever the computer says. I won't second guess it because I need to get there.
To actually arrive.
Yeah, and I find lately that it's been picking spots that either have room for me to do the pull alongside, take up 8 stations mess, or stations or parking space, depending on how it's arranged. Or I also find that it seems to prefer the stations that have a pull in, where I can just pull the nose of the car in and not block too much space. And mostly what I tow is U-Haul trailers, so I can't take them off and be
Mhm.
considerate because there's no
So
provisions
it
to taking them off.
the
Unfortunately.
computer knows that you're towing and will actually pick chargers,
It
or you
feels that
just
way because it
it's
picks
just
different stations than it would normally pick at that
huh,
consumption rate. Like if I was just driving fast or the weather was bad, and I'm like,
just
hey,
happens to pick
I'll
the right
take.
ones for you. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's good. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's we were just talking about that. We were talking about that. We are talking about taking advantage of that 5 grand to get the X.
yeah.
Um, but and my wife, she just wants it. She's just get it. I just
It's a
want that.
strong deal. It's just that unlimited charging is also a strong deal because
I mean,
you could go
those
to
things
one
are
of the
nice. It's like you already have an X.
right, right. And like I was saying, there's not that much difference between the new one for what you lose. It's like I don't know if I want to do it or not.
I'm going to have a new X plus a car payment.
Right,
I'm
that too.
paid off.
Right. Another thing you could consider is going to one of these shops since you're out of the body warranty. One of these
Mhm.
shops, and well, you're not out of the battery warranty yet. You got
I
another.
love it. I love it. Nope, the powertrain is good till 20. I think I'm good to 2024,
Okay, so
December
next year you
2024.
can look at changing the battery pack out for a big one.
Hmm. She asked me about that. If that's something I could do.
Jason Hughes. So his shop is a little far from you because it's the exact opposite side of the country, but there are other shops on the West Coast that do the same as Jason, or offer the same service as Jason for this particular one, where they'll upgrade your battery pack to 100 pack or any other one that's bigger than your mid range,
Hmm.
and it's worth considering. But
It
like I said,
is.
wait till next year when you're out of warranty.
I'm out of warranty, but at that point, I was thinking that at that point I sell it, get the Cybertruck, and I never have to buy another car again.
Right. That's assuming that you don't just want to keep it in the family, add the Cybertruck, and then
We're we're going. I mean, the
that new
oldest,
driver's coming up.
she does. We're
Talking about
looking
that Nissan
actually.
Leaf.
We, that's what we're looking at is the 2018 Leaf.
Yeah,
But they still want way too much money for those
they
things.
do. Yeah, don't
I
rush
think
into it. It's easier to
right.
share a car than to make a rush decision on that.
Yeah, because I think before COVID, they were at something like 16, and they were trending down. I said by the time we're ready to buy, this thing will be at 14 or 12
Right.
grand, and then
10.
everything just shot.
Back where it used to be at 9.
Right.
You remember when you could used to get a used Nissan Leaf in great condition with lots of battery life left for $7,500?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
coming back eventually. And maybe
So,
not
but
7,500, but like that level, what 7,500 feels like in today money.
right, but we're looking at. I mean, and I want at least the 2018 because then you
Right.
get the new body style. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like the Dr.
The new body
Seuss.
style looks way better than the old body style.
They look like Dr. Seuss cars. You
They
don't know
did,
which
yeah.
direction is the front.
Right. So Bennett suggested that you ride in the back, your daughter rides in the front, and your wife drives.
Yeah, so it's not an option. You
Oh,
ask her.
okay.
She's right over there.
That's not an option either.
Aaliyah, Bennett said you drive to LA. She wants Bennett to pay her.
She said no. Everybody said no to that one. And yeah, Robert says it's expensive as heck over there, 35 pounds.
No, I'd be
And
happy to ride in the back. I'd be on my computer and
right,
and sleeping. Wake me when we're done.
all kinds of stuff I could do in the back seat. So Bennett says that 42 cents per kilowatt hour is only 3 times the home rate.
Oh,
Ouch! Ouch!
yeah, it's pricey when you get on the road.
Yeah, exactly. I charge up. I don't have time to keep charging on a trip. See, that's the calculation I do. Is if it's going to be faster for me to not listen to the car and just unplug and do the next one for like 10 minutes instead of 2 30 minutes, I'm going to do
Right.
I'm going to do the 20 minute and the 10 minute instead of 130 and then another 30 or whatever the
Right.
car's telling me to do. Unless
Right.
like Bennett says if I can nap, wake me up when I hit 90%, and that's exactly what I do. I'll do 90, 95% if I need the sleep. Like, hey,
I like Bennett. That's me.
yeah,
It's
wake me
just-
up when it's ready. And
I'm not in a hurry. Taking
exactly.
a nap.
We both recharged.
Right.
Oh, this is Lee. Okay, that makes sense now. Lee sent a message about not being able to change the YouTube name, and now it makes sense. What's the advantage of increasing the battery pack? So in the Woods case and in mine, we get to keep our unlimited supercharging because we didn't change the car. We just changed the battery pack. And you could probably do it through Tesla, but they'll fight you all the way, and you got to find just the right service center to do it. But if you go to one of these shops, they'll do it. They'll update the computer, and you're good to go. It's an official configuration.
Really? And I keep my supercharging.
Yeah, you didn't change your car.
That's true.
You don't change the battery pack.
We look out for something like that. I mean, it's 15, 20 grand, something like that.
And assuming that you've got the right size cables, which you probably do, then you'll be able to do whatever the car has always been able to do as far as the max charge rate. So the V3s might be worth going to at that point. Yeah, exactly. Additional range for not much weight difference. And because it's a Model X, all the Model X's have the smart air suspension or whatever they call the one with the Raven. They all have air suspension. So they can just adjust it in the computer that, hey, this is how much the new pack weighs, or this is the new pack, and the car will adjust. It won't sag and be wrong. Like if you did this to a Model 3 or a Model X with the coilover springs, or a Model Y, and you went from the small pack to the large pack, or the medium pack to the large pack, then you have to redo your suspension as well, unless it was the Model S with the air ride. Yeah. My neighbor rented an electric car. They get charging, insurance, all packaged. Oh, I like that. It's all in one. Just here's the car. Bring it back when you're done.
That was the other idea. Once it's expensive, it gets so high. It's like, let's just rent the car. Just
Exactly.
rent a Model X.
Yep. And Bennett says, yes, the bigger pack means it can handle more charge. The only question is if Tesla used smaller charge cables from the port to the battery pack, and I don't think they did. I think they just used one assembly for the whole time. You're right out of warranty, so it doesn't matter. It does to a point, though, because he's still got the battery pack warranty and the 2 motor warranties for another year.
Right.
And I think I've got mine for another 3 years. So that's why I'm not really wanting to mess with those three components. But anything else in the car, I'll change it in a heartbeat right now because I'm out of warranty. So you're saying no putting Hummer pack in my Model Y? You could, but that one's gonna be a special, a custom special. Nobody who's offering the service offers that. And I think the Hummer pack weighs as much as your Model Y, so you'll need two suspensions.
Gonna definitely have some tire issues then too.
Yeah, new tires, new suspension, maybe a lift kit to hold that thing up under there,
Holy crap!
and you got to also hope that you don't have a structural pack, and your tow rating is gone.
Already towing to the max with your battery.
Exactly. Oh man,
That's funny.
So speaking of batteries, Giga Berlin's battery pack is now operational. As of February 16th, they're making batteries in Giga Berlin. And my understanding is that just like on Giga Texas, when they're making the batteries and it's not at a Panasonic facility, they're 4680s. While the plant was supposed to produce
That was fun, but I
4680s.
gotta get some more work done.
All right, it's good to see you. Bye. Currently producing individual components. So the individual components means what? Not explaining which ones. All right. So it could be making 2170s, but it's most likely making either 4680s or full or parts. And I want to see someone charge it at level 1. I'm curious how long that would take. Because it took 8 hours for a 14 kilowatt hour pack, of which you could use 10 on the volts. So 8 hours for 10. And so 200 should be 20 times longer. So let's see. There should be 200 hours to charge your Hummer from 0 to full charge on a granny lead. How long is that in days? 200 divided by 24. That's 8.33 days. Wow, I hope you're on vacation. 8 days of charging. And that's assuming that's even as efficient as a volt, which I would hope so, because it's bigger and newer. All right, so there's a fly over the plant, and all right. So here's the update on the Ford recall that we were talking about earlier in the show, and it went with Ford's now confirmed that the F-150 Lightning fire caught fire in a holding lot, which spread to a nearby vehicle. The automaker warned, however, that the process to fully apply their learnings to the battery pack production process could take a few weeks. During this period, no newly built trucks still with Ford will be shipped to dealers. That was a weirdly constructed sentence. Lightning trucks already in the hands of customers appear not to be affected by this issue. So it sounds like very similar to how LG discovered that they had a process problem, that perhaps Ford themselves had a process problem assembling the packs. And if your car made it together and got out of the quality lot without catching fire, then it's good. We're not aware of any incidents of this issue in the field, and do not believe Ford F-150 Lightnings already in customer hands are affected by this issue. We'll continue to update the story as more information becomes available. So this is an electric truck. So if I see more, I will definitely be bringing that back to you guys, because that's something that I expect some of you out there already have. Exotic Geek says a lightning caused a fire. Absolutely, absolutely. And Bennett says it's living up to that Moon Rover heritage. Drive it once and leave it there. It's electric. And it makes sense that the Moon Rover would be electric, because there's nothing to combust there. So unless you're bringing a bunch of air canisters, it would have to be rocket powered, basically. Yeah. Any comments on this one? Deja vu from the GM Bolt fiasco. Yeah, because this could totally change. So first deny. Next stop sale order. Next it'll be fixed with software. Soon don't park inside. Park 100 feet away from your house or any other vehicle. That's certainly possible. That's certainly possible. Could be. moving on to the next story. All right, so we talked about hardware 4 with Green. Let's see if this article has anything that we don't already know from reading Green ourselves. Doesn't look like it. So moving on to the next thing. We've got Q3 2020 record deliveries within sight, according to leaked Elon Musk email. How did this one end up in my... I don't know how this ended up in my feed. Did I click the wrong link? Let me load up some more. I must have clicked the wrong link entirely, because that is not the next one in the list. How did that happen? Wow. I'm doing here is just loading up some of the next batch, because eventually I'll keep just enough tabs open that I can just load the whole show up. But that's not today. So I think it might be the wrong link because it showed up again. That's not the title. About that 2020 record. What was it supposed to be, real quick? The one after it is Giga Shanghai. Battery plant. Hardware 4 teardown. That is so weird that it's loading that up. Where am I now? I'm on halted. Yes, it totally messed that up. Okay, so I'm clicking on one about Parliament, and it's bringing up the record. So EU Parliament. Oops. It's an article I was looking forward to for the show. All right, so we'll take it from Tesserati instead. And share. So the EU formally approves a ban of combustion engine sales by 2035. So, real quick before we get to the meat of the article here, Bennett says, I know Farley said they won't advertise them, but if they don't get Thor involved in a Thunder and Lightning commercial, it'll be a missed opportunity. I agree. Hey, what's up, Clayton? DJ Clay. Good to see you. So the EU formally has banned sales of combustion engine cars by 2035. This should be new cars if it's anything like the proposals they were running before. So let's skim through it and see. A ban on all petrol and diesel-powered vehicles made its way through the EU Parliament on Tuesday, February 1st. The EU formally approved a law that would ban the sale of combustion engine vehicles by 2035 in an attempt to accelerate consumers' choice of EV powertrains. And this is what we were saying earlier with if the folks like Lamborghini and Porsche and whoever else says they'll do something by 2030, 2040, if they don't do it by 2035, they can't sell in California, they can't sell in Europe. They definitely can't sell in Norway because their new rule in Norway, they slid theirs up to 2025 because they had such success with their existing program. The latest you can go today is either 2050 or 2060 in Saudi Arabia. Everyone else has something going before that. Gas's days are numbered. Let's see. The new EU law will require that automakers achieve a 100% cut in CO2 emissions by 2035 for all cars sold, eliminating the possibility that gas or petrol-fueled engines can be sold in any of the countries in any of the 27 countries in the EU. So it sounds like with a 100% cut that you can't even do a hybrid. You might be able to wiggle a plug-in hybrid through, but probably not even that. It was first proposed in July of 2021. We talked about it back then. And Italy, Portugal, Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Romania all pushed to delay the ban to mid-2022. However, several companies, including Volkswagen, have already committed to stop manufacturing gas-powered vehicles before 2035. VW is planning to phase out cars in Europe, ICE cars in Europe by 2033. Makes sense. The straggling E right here. The operating costs of the EV are already lower than the cost of a ICE car, and along with the 2035 ban, the EU plans to cut 55% of CO2 emissions for all new cars sold from 2030 on. So they do have a warning. Their warning is 2030, which is when a lot of these companies said they were going to stop. And then from there, their warning period goes into a hard ban on all local pollution, which is cool. The law still has to be formally introduced by the Council later this year. More regions across the world are adopting new climate goals that include restriction on gas-powered engines. California did 2035, but not just California. Don't forget there are 14 states that have tied themselves to California on the emissions. One of them, Virginia, is trying to get back out of it, but that's just because every year, but you can't have successive governorships in Virginia. So the Commonwealth tends to flip back and forth between their who's running it politically, and the new guy is very much the anti-green, anti-woke crowd. And that's a good thing right there. Let's give them a vote and see if there are any insightful comments. VA said they're following the clean air standards. I heard on VA Senate 2035. Yeah. So VA is currently there, but the new governor and his people don't want to be there. They don't have a choice at the moment. They'll have to undo the law. Yeah, that was in the news this week. So VA, Maryland, Delaware, Massachusetts, New York, a bunch of others. In fact, while I get the screen open, we'll just pull it up. Yeah, they could do hydrogen combustion and be just fine. Synthetic fuels, I don't know if they count. Let's see. CA emission. "17 states now. That's gone up." Let's take a look. More shootings in Memphis. Oh boy, this country of ours. The 17 states that follow California emission standards might now ban gas cars. What's the list? Washington, Massachusetts, New York, Oregon, Vermont, obviously California, Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Maryland, New Jersey, New Mexico, DC, Rhode Island, Colorado, Pennsylvania. They're the ones that follow, but Colorado and Pennsylvania, they say probably won't. And I don't see Virginia or the other one that came in with Virginia on that list. Hi, baby. Did you go outside? I heard the door. You took a walk? Oh. All right, so let's move on to the next article. So let's close those 2020 records since they were actually supposed to be about the EU Parliament. And let's go to Giga Shanghai now. Giga Shanghai is going to pause production of the Model 3 for refresh. But again, just because Giga Shanghai has done it doesn't mean that Fremont has paused to make updates either. But they suspect this is Project Highland. Tesla hasn't commented on it, but we'll find out probably on March 1st. Sources familiar with the matter say Tesla will begin pausing this month to perform production line upgrades and accommodate the new design. Sources have explained the upgrades will begin as soon as Sunday for the first phase of the lines, with workers not being allowed in this part of the factory until the work is completed. Something's going on if they won't let the workers in. It's not just, hey, we're switching out machine A for machine B. Especially after what we saw with the hardware 4 camera leak. Something's afoot. Sources explain the upgrades will begin as soon as Sunday. It's not the first work Tesla's undertaken at Shanghai in preparation for new Model 3. Over the last few months, they've reportedly completed other upgrades to the production lines in stages so as not to impact output, which makes sense. Given the timing for Investor Day, it would not be surprising if the new Model 3 was announced next month. Or at least the Chinese one, anyway. Work is clearly underway in China to build a new Model 3. Tesla is also completing upgrades at the Fremont factory to do the same. Over the last few months, Tesla submitted several permits to upgrade production lines with new equipment. Based on previous reports involving Project Highland, it involves simplifying the design of Model 3 to include fewer components, all resulting in lower production costs. So this is what we're saying right there. Is these changes, they'll make the car cheaper. It won't necessarily make it feel any better or worse. They may get rid of some more stuff that you like. A lot of people are still mad that the ultrasonics are gone because without the ultrasonics, the park warnings and the auto park don't work the way that you'd expect. Cool though not to have to run through emissions inspections because the cars don't have exhaust. And as long as your fuel type in Virginia is registered correctly, you don't have to do a smog check on your EV. And most articles about it were saying August, September, but I guess VA did stuff this week in the Senate to beat the last bill opposing it. Interesting. This one, the Rivian R1T is more loved than Ford trucks. Strategy Vision's Most Loved Vehicle Awards reveal why. I would certainly say it's not for lack of trying on Ford's part. Ford has been upfront and acknowledging that their shortcomings and working to get around them. Let's see. Natural language used by owners to describe their feelings towards their vehicles. The company claims this should make the car manufacturers and other stakeholders in the automotive industry pay attention to the results due to the consumer insight they could gather. Current economic struggles, close attention should be paid to what vehicle younger buyers love and can afford to purchase, such as the Hyundai Kona, and how it provides owners with a small wealth of impactful features. Understanding why the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport solicits the feelings it does will help automotive manufacturers communicate more effectively to potential future customers, resulting in increased sales, market share, and stock value. So it looks like they didn't tell us why Rivian was more like than the Ford, but they know. So either Rivian or Ford has now paid for that information and chosen not to share it. No mention of the over-the update that locked hundreds of owners out of their cars. That one got pulled, Steve. That one got pulled. That's not good. It's going down too. Stand by. Inflation means they've already achieved 25K in the US 2019 US dollars, the Model 3, right? Not only that, but there's also a particular way in Oregon you can get one for $28,000. So yes, they've already done it. Tesla says select superchargers will soon be available for all EVs, announces plans to more than double the size of the US network by 2024. So, even though 7,500 is a significant portion of the number of chargers available today, it'll be a smaller portion of them if they stay at 7,500 and then double the rest of them in the US. Yeah. A rudimentary demo of how the Magic Dock would work. The Tesla Cybertruck frame gets teased in a new video as a job posting for senior quality stamping engineer gets published. Is it really? Yeah, that's not a regular Tesla frame. Likes working out, can lift 40,000 pounds. Oh, that Valentine's Day was a job ad? I didn't even notice. That's cool. According to the job description, first spotted Cybertruck enthusiast, senior quality engineer will be responsible for all incoming, inline, and outgoing quality stamping Cybertruck manufacturing areas at Giga Texas. Oh, okay. So no, that wasn't a job ad. It was just in the same video. And yeah, it was in there. I don't know if I did a Valentine's video. Here it is. They've got like robotic sounding voices. Yeah, right there. I guess it makes sense they need to practice with it. Yeah, that doesn't look like the current one. YouTube has closed captioning, but I haven't seen that on Twitter yet. And get wild. It's sailing. It's scary. Professional musician. Ding 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 ding. It's true. It's a professional musician. His job is to ring a bell for money. Well, if it was human. There they all are. Yep, it's a Cybertruck. Gonna take North America by storm and make people think we're living in a sci-fi future. Hope we get to see some online reviews by summertime. We might. Bennett says, I hope Tesla rolls out the equivalent of AutoCharge Plus for out of network cars. They already have. So in oh wait, you mean the plug-in charge? They might, but for the billing, they already have. They have a in Europe, they have a plan where if you subscribe to supercharging, you will pay the rate that Tesla owners pay. It doesn't say that the rate that Tesla owners pay. It says a discount, but currently that discount is what we pay versus what they charge if you're not a Tesla owner and not a member of the program. As far as plug-in charge, they support it over CCS with the Teslas, so or the neck connector. So I don't see why they would not support it over this, and that could be something that's been why they've been taking so long to get this done. There's a lot of considerations, and they don't want to all of a sudden be seen as unreliable like a certain other charging provider. Sentry mode footage leads to the arrest of a suspect who keyed the Model Y twice. Don't know why people do this crap. There's one, there's two. And these are huge scratches. That's not just into the paint, that's into the aluminum itself. After realizing who had keyed his car, Raul provided the footage and information to the Mecklenburg County Police, who were able to use the evidence to arrest Hanish Garrick. Officer Randy Dowd said it's rare to actually charge someone for keying a car because it's very difficult to obtain enough evidence to prove they did it. He said, however, that the footage of Tesla's cameras was the reason they were able to arrest and charge the suspect in this case. So here it is. This guy in a Prius. Oh, good gracious. Why are you so mad, bro? Here's his face. Got him. Another case. He was arrested too. Key to the gas station. That one might be because he was at the pump. Well. Oh, I definitely agree there should be something to make him think twice. I don't know about that. That's a little drastic. Zoox was granted permit to begin robotaxi rides with no steering wheel or pedals. And they may claim to be the first, but there was a cute little Google car that did that a while ago before Google became part of Alphabet or was restructured. There we go. Like our friend Travis, who came on here a while ago, pointed out that he thinks that eventually most cars will just be bread boxes like this. And he's probably right. Because once you don't need to own the car, why own the car? And then if you don't own it, why is it got to be pretty? Magic Talk makes me happy as compared to two cable stations that can only charge one at a time. Folks will need that simplification, I think. Yeah, I like it better too. It makes the most sense because I imagine that there's a lot less going into this adapter than there is in copper and rubber and tubing and coolant to go into having a dual-headed cable. I agree. And if it's doing this locking thing, then it doesn't have as much chance to get damaged. Let's see what these people have to say about themselves. Zoox is tested on many. Whoa, stop! Shoot. It opened a new window when I was trying to stop the music. Alright, so I don't want this window. I do want your video, but I don't want your music. They waited so long to put the music in, I thought there wasn't any. Will the cables reach? Probably not. They'll probably have the same thing here that they have in Europe about how you're not supposed to be a jerk, but this is America, so we'll get jerks. I wonder if they had to pre-program these drives, or if it's like figuring its way out, or if it's geofenced. This looks like the cars they were using in Westworld, combined with they had a vehicle that looked like that, and it had seats like a Model X, and then they had an airplane like this, like a hovercraft, like a human drone that also had Model X seats. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So again, we wish them luck, and we'll see what actually happens. All these startup automakers. Giga Berlin's Model Ys with white interior appear in existing inventory. Deliveries to begin soon. What year is this? Okay, that's the right year. Opened in March, kicked off production with only Model Y performance and black interiors. Okay, so that's the difference. It's the first time they've made white interiors out of Berlin for sale. That's cool. If you're in Europe and you want that, go order one. All right. To use U.S. billions in government funds available, Tesla must unlock the EV chargers. And we've seen them do that now at the request. The company has tried to wiggle its way out of the proposed structure without success. It's one way to put it. And this is what I was talking about with the stations where the handle is just hanging on the ground. This is a V2 station. Somebody's obviously backed into this one, cracked the frame, or hit it with a snowplow. I don't know which. But the little hook that hangs into the bottom of the part that the car bites onto to lock the cable to the car, some of them get rounded or broken, and then the cable falls to the ground, which is unfortunate. But as we talked about with the NACS standard, that is something that they test for. They test it falling onto concrete rather than a lab floor. And we've got Tesla Semi Program Manager explains the pitch to fleet managers and the importance of electric trucks. In his talk, he explained that the electric truck pitch to fleet managers. I'm going to open this talk for me to read later. He explained that the electric truck pitch is fairly simple. I'll pose a bit of a rhetorical question here. If you're a diesel fleet manager looking to reduce costs, which category would you target? You're going to try and tackle your largest cost. That's energy. Your best option to do that with is EV trucks. The cost of ownership of electric trucks is much lower than diesel. Straightforward. And the good thing here is he's talking to people who talk in dollars. So if you tell them it's more reliable, costs less to maintain, costs less to fuel, blah, 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 safer, more comfortable, all of that, it's an easy sell. The only hard part about it is proving that you can back your claims, which now that Tesla and Pepsi have got their first units, their shakedown units out on the street, this will help with that. He said that a plurality of trucks is operated by the top 20% fleet operators, and targeting these few operators alone could result in a 2.5% emission reduction, which is pretty cool. He stated that even though the semi-trucks represent only about 1% of vehicles on the road, they account for almost 40% of the total emissions from the transportation sector. Yeah. Trucks are heavily utilized. Folks that own a car use it about 5% of the time, but heavy-duty trucks are utilized as much as the driver possibly can, 8 or more hours per day, and they're also high energy consumption, meaning that to move 1 mile, you have to use more energy. Yep. Well, there we go. Tesla Semi and Cybertruck prototype spotted with LiDAR sensor. Yeah, but these are like these wheels. Whenever we see these wheels, it means the car is about to come out with some changes, and they're testing them. These are used for calibration. All right. Oh, wow. Ram closes its reservations for its Cybertruck, the 1500 Rev, after 5 days. Apparently, that was only a reservation for a reservation rather than an actual reservation. Moving on. Tesla Powerwall owners made up to $500 the first year of the virtual power plant program. I think we talked about this last week, where the guy got a $574 check from the, or maybe it was on the Tesla Life show. We talked about it, but anyway, there was a that's the check he's getting back for participating in the power program. And there we go. All right, so we talked about Giga Berlin and the saving the parking lot beetles or whatever. We found our results about the California emissions. Talked about Shanghai pausing. Talked about the Rivian R1T being more loved. Okay, so let's talk about SpaceX. New lithium iron phosphate battery. Flow chargers. Hertz. Canada. Nissan. VinFast. Tesla Insurance. Tesla Energy. Porsche. Mazda. And again with the parking lot. Okay, so SpaceX, they have said that they're making sure that these V2 terminals aren't ending up on drones. I expressed doubt that the drone could even carry the V2 terminal, but this could be a bigger, more powerful drone. We'll see. But Gwen Shotwell and Elon have both mentioned that they are taking steps to make sure that the only military uses for Starlink V2 in Ukraine are communications. And Flow has introduced its Flow Ultra 320 kilowatt, 500 kilowatt DC fast charger. 500 kilowatt. Has anybody charged that fast yet? The Tesla Semi can do a megawatt, but I don't know anybody else is charging that fast yet. You can charge EVs to 80% within 15 minutes with its powerful 320 kilowatt output. When using dynamic power sharing, while if connected with the other chargers, it can reach up to 500 kilowatts. It's pretty cool. Oh, okay, I see. They do power sharing. And if the one next to you isn't doing anything, it can boost you even higher. Nice. It looks like the conversion equipment is in here because that looks like the amount of space you would need for a V3 station. And then that little bit. I wonder if they can separate them. Probably not. I don't know if you want your equipment out in where the cars are driving. That's why so many other manufacturers, including Tesla, put the conversion equipment away from the parking station. But hey, whatever it takes. Oh, I've been sharing this thing and you guys can't even see it. Share this tab. There you go. Sorry. So this is what it looks like here. All right, now that I explained it, my longtime truck driver granddad is excited about the quiet engine braking the semi will have. Absolutely. Not just the quiet engine braking, but it also means that you can go faster up the mountain because you can go faster down the mountain. This looks cool. These cables will reach Bennett. Except maybe on the Hummer. But the good thing is the lot should be set up that you can get around even that. All right, so then we've got a new lithium iron phosphate battery for residential and off-grid PV. It looks like the rack batteries you can buy. Nominal voltage of 51.2 up to 100 amp hours, up to 6 5.21 kilowatt hour batteries can be stacked in a single enclosure, and up to 4 enclosures can be connected in parallel for a capacity of 120 kilowatt hours for your house. Darn sweet. It's rated UL 9540A and IP20. And there's a link to the article if you are building yourself a battery backup or off-grid situation there. All right, so we said last year that Hertz ordered 100,000 Model 3s, and they've received 50,000 of them so far. And they also said about how it's made them money and saved them money and etc. But we knew this when they made the order. Tesla highlights its economic impact in Canada in 2021, 762 million GDP contribution and over 6,600 jobs. They sent an email to owners this week highlighting their impact. 145,000 cars delivered across the country. Many of those were driven across the Trans-Canada Supercharger Corridor. E-Reserve project saw 20 megawatt battery packs installed at 3 locations. That's all pretty cool stuff. And I'll give you a link to the article so you can get a link to the paper to read it yourself. Look at this video real quick though. So I gotta mute it. Tesla loves to put music in their stuff.
Is focused.
There are no closed captions, not even the automated ones. Thanks, Tesla. Very accessible. That's enough of that because we can't read it. Then there's no point. So this one, Nissan claims that they're going to have their first solid-state battery in 2028. And like I keep saying, these solid-state batteries are constantly 4 to 5 years away. Here we go again. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to put any stock in it. Toyota's always been 5 years away. And they haven't done it yet. Well, Nissan and internal combustion engine development in all markets except the US. Go figure. All right, so VinFast, they recently followed up with Tesla and a few others at cutting their prices in US of EVs. And now They've got jobs. That's going to cost delayed deliveries later, which are to begin later this month. I mean, it's a car. It's electric. We'll see if they can ever live up to their claims. They made bold claims, and they presently aren't meeting them. Right, Tesla Insurance prepares for European expansion with new job posting. So you guys can see if Tesla Insurance compares with your guys' insurance soon. Tesla gives a tour of the Lathrop Megapack factory where it builds the Megapack 2XL. And they say, take a look at our factory. Did we already see this one? Not where they called it the 2XL. On Earth by humans. Using the same core thermal components as Tesla vehicles. So they've been remixing this video for the last month. I was wondering if they'd use a heat pump, and clearly they do. Produce 1 megapack every 68 minutes. 10,000 per year. I like they do the same environmental tests as the cars. This one was a job ad. That's why they remixed it again. Stuff. Porsche is prepping the K1 7-seat luxury EV for 2027. I like DJ Khaled. Another one. Just a remix. I like it. Another one. All right, so that's all I got to say about the Porsche, unless they got some pictures of a prototype, because 5 years is a long time. Nope, no pictures. We'll talk about it more when it comes closer, because I don't doubt that Porsche is going to be able to do it. They've already got 3 EVs on the market, right? So it's just there's nothing to show. All right, so let's make fun of the Mazda MX-30 some more. Again, if you drive a Mazda MX-30 and it works for you, great. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm just saying that the company came out with this in 2022, 10 years after cars with similar specs came out. And they sold 32 of these 100-mile-ish Mazda MX-30s EVs in Canada and the US. So in both countries, 32. So if you cut it in half, which is probably not accurate, you might never run into one of these. In 2022, sales stopped altogether because nobody wanted it. And that's right, the Hummer outsold that thing. That's incredible. Rimac too. You sold less of an affordable family car with a short range than a multi-million-dollar hypercar. That's sad. Get it together, Melissa. Had this been a new car company focused on like an efficiency market or something, I'd be like, okay, that's a good enough deal. But a major automaker with engineering teams that can do better than this, it's not acceptable. And again, if it works for you and that's the car you bought, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just so disappointed in Mazda, Toyota, and Honda right now. with their EV efforts. I don't know why my screen flashed like that. All right, so then we've got some, popped up in the wrong window because I clicked to fix the camera. So we've got, as I was saying, we've got hardware 4 to talk about a little bit more. Hyundai. We talked about Netflix. Talk about Amazon. Let's talk about some Porsche problems. Some more crashes. Some fake FSD footage. Ferrari. I think we already talked about Ferrari at the beginning of the show. We did, so we'll skip Ferrari because there's nothing fresh about this article. Gig in Berlin, perhaps. We talked about the FSD recall. We talked about the trade-in bonus. A little bit of Mexico. Model 3 and Y. Price coming down has given them some more knock-on effects. We'll skip the sales figures. Model 3 or electric vehicle sales. No, that's not just one car. We'll talk about that. And a new Tesla feature, Ford job growth, and Faraday future of all things. All right, so here we go. Tesla is approved to sell the Model X and S in Europe with hardware 4 or AP4. That's impressive because we were just talking about it. I forgot GM, the leader. GM is leading Mazda. Should be more than that, though. Let's see. We were expecting to announce a new high-resolution radar unit for the Model S and X last month, but Tesla requested the information stay confidential until March. It now looks like that the radar unit was just because it was part of hardware 4, and they said it was going on sale, and it did. The new radar module is out because it's a part of hardware 4. It's just out in the market. It matters. It does matter. And let's see. They approved to sell the new hardware in Europe on S and X. The type certificate issued by the Dutch Vehicle Authority RDW is dated January 20th, 2023. Among the items listed includes introduction of Generation 4 complex vehicle control systems, aka autopilot. Other items listed as approved include Gen 3 inverters, changes to the automatic headlights, unification of the Model X brake system application. I wonder what that is. A new that might just be the global lights we saw on that vehicle that Green was tearing apart. A new rear view mirror bracket for the Model X. Now I'm going to stop right here. The rear view mirror bracket on the Model X. Remember, the glass on the Model X starts here behind my head, and it goes down to the point that the regular car would go in front of you. So there's no normal place to attach this camera mount for the S and X on the X. And since you've already mounted the cameras up there, you can mount the mirror to the back side of the cameras. So the rear view mirror is actually hanging off the back of the camera housing, and there's a long channel that goes up above into the headliner, and it's covered with like a rubber molding so it doesn't look ugly. So if they change the cameras and the housing of the cameras are in, then they've also changed the mirror mount because it's just stuck to the bottom of the cameras. So that part isn't surprising with the new 2-camera setup that Green confirmed that we saw the spy shots of. Let's see. A new bracket for Model X updates the engine code, rear badging, and maximum speed. Says more on this in a bit for the maximum speed. Type 4, all variants, got approval. So that's the stuff they changed. So Introduction of a new car computer and global navigation satellite system antenna. Introduction of Gen 3 inverters to this VIN number pattern. Changed automatic dipped and main beam sensor. Oh. Change the sensor. That could be either they've added a high beam sensor, doubtful, or because they changed the cameras that they're using to control the high beams. Unification of the brake system application. I don't know really what that means. Introduction of a new stay arm for the Model X interior rear mirror, again, because it's attached to the cameras. Update the manufacturer's engine code. Update the vehicle's rear badging. And update the vehicle's maximum speed. All summer, I was bummed out. I didn't have a window to mount cameras to because I had to put a roof shade on the Model Y in Florida. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, because if you suction cup the GoPro above you, but if you've got a, what you could do is 3D print yourself or get somebody to 3D print you a bracket that like hooks in into the thicker part of the headliner behind or under your sunshade. And since Fremont is the only factory that produces flagship vehicles, it stands to reason that hardware 4 AP4 is already in the next batch of vehicles destined for Europe. And they probably are because we saw a green tear one down. The approval all but confirms that hardware 4 AP4 will debut first on Model S and X as long been suspected. Yep. Another interesting part of this approval is the increase in maximum speed. Document details the speed increase for Model S as being 280 kilometers an hour for the factory and 322 kilometers an hour with the optional carbon ceramic brake kit. There you go. This is another sign the long-awaited carbon ceramic brake kit is finally going to be offered to customers soon. The 27,000 Canadian or 20,000 US accessory was originally listed in the Tesla shop in late 2021, but it's now listed with the release date of early 2023. And a few people like Marquez have it already on their car. So it sounds like all you needed was the brakes, because they told us brakes and tires, or just tires. I don't remember. They told us you needed hardware before you could get the speed increase. And so it looks like even though you can't play games in your car with a retrofit, you can, or without a retrofit, you can add in your brakes and get your speed that they promised you coming up. Told you last month that Tesla updated the additional vehicle information screen in Model S Plaid to show what brakes the car has, giving another hint that the upgrade will soon be available. Yep. And we'll see what happens more. Bennett says, I guess not having a plastic housing there in the X for the camera is a different problem. Yep. Probably could have just poked a hole in the shade. Yeah, you can do that too. But it makes it harder to put it up and take it down, I guess. All right, let me get a little bit faster. I don't know that those granola bars did anything for the sugar. It stopped going down. It started going straight. Let me check it again real quick. Still going straight, but it's not good. Hyundai Evolve Plus subscription program launches with the Ioniq 5 or Kia Kona. And what is that? Basically, you rent a car, is it a lease? On a month-to-month basis. So it's a month-to-month lease called Evolve Plus. Comes with insurance, roadside assistance, and it sets you back $600 a month for the Kona or $899 a month for the Ioniq 5. No term commitment, and you can cancel at any time. You are limited to 1,000 miles per month, and any unused miles in a month will be rolled over. Oh, that's cool. Most leases and such like that won't let you roll it over. That's cool. And $20 for every 100 miles over. So up to a maximum of $1,500. So if you more than double your price, you get free miles. After that, the fee increases to $1 for every mile. Oh, so you don't get unlimited miles for anything. No paperwork, no commitment, no long-term loan. That's a flexible way to buy a car, I guess. Don't take that as financial advice. It's just another option. Amazon has been granted the approval to launch 3,236 satellites. So Project Kuiper is finally getting off the ground, or at least on paper, allowed to get off the ground. Let's see. I'm glad we got game controller support back in the Y. At this point, I'm most excited about it. Yeah, I don't ever really take the time to play my games on my car, but I might try it again at some point. Especially once Moto is able to play video games, we might play together. Car insurance plus roadside $600. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, it does. It sounds like a fair amount, especially for the kind of cars we're talking about, the Kona and the Ioniq. They're not bad cars, especially when you consider how fast the Ioniq can charge and how well it does, and you've got the power export feature, assuming that that they give you the adapter when you pick up the car. All right, so we'll talk more when Project Kuiper starts launching. All right, Porsche Taycan and Audi e-tron GT owners have suffered heater problems, just like my GM and the other GMs we talked about the other day. But theirs wasn't a failure to plug it in. They've been affected by a heater matrix problem in the UK, literally leaving them in the cold. At least it didn't set their car on fire like the Ram trucks. Appears there's no end in sight as they've been informed of a wait of months for repair. Yeah, but then it's summertime. You don't need it repaired as fast until it gets cold again. This is probably a parts issue, most likely. They've now been joined by the Audi e-tron GT owners who reported similar problems. Both models are based on the J1 platform. They share many parts, including the problematic heater matrix. There have been many complaints, with more than 800 owners impacted in the UK alone. The cars cannot warm up the seats or defrost properly in the cold. Oh, wow. Yeah, defrost is important. That, if you can't defrost in the US, that will often get you a recall. Like, literally, we had some cars that were sold where they had no real heat. They only had like a hairdryer taped over the dash, pipe it through a vent to defrost the window. That's how important defrost is to us in this country. All right, so when we learn more, I'll tell you more about Audi and their heater matrix. So this crash in Florida from some Californians in Gainesville, Florida, a place I used to live for a while. Their crash under this truck was ruled as human error. There was another Model S crash late last week that folks are saying, see, it's the autopilot. That is in response to, or not in response to, they didn't crash and kill themselves on purpose. They crashed into a fire truck. Was it yesterday, the day before? The vehicle in the pictures looks like an AP1 car, and AP1 has been known to crash into vehicles that are partially in the lane. So you have to pay attention and manually control the vehicle, as it says every time you turn on the autopilot. But in this case, and that's not even saying that the crash yesterday or so even was using autopilot, or if it even had autopilot. We don't know. But in this case, we do know. They hit a parked semi-truck, and the car data showed that the driver hit the gas pedal rather than the brake. Model S entered the rest stop going 60 miles an hour, hitting a curb and then the trailer. The 2015 Model S did not have autopilot equipped at the time of the crash. Just like the other one in Texas. Had it, and it was never, ever activated. Lieutenant Patrick Riordan of the FHP said this in the news conference. It's been a while since this investigation started. It's very thorough and an in-depth investigation. Unfortunately, the woman driving, as they were coming down the ramp to the rest area, unfortunately, she applied the accelerator instead of the brake. If you are pushing and the car is getting faster, let go of both pedals. Let go of both. I mean, yes, it won't help the car stop, but at least it will stop it from going faster. And then you can take a moment, look at your foot, push the big one. There's a better chance of a positive outcome if you take off all pedals. If the car's not doing what you want, just take off all pedals and then try again. The couple's family was considering a wrongful death lawsuit, but was awaiting the investigation results. The law firm representing the family did not respond to an ask for comment. Yeah, I mean, because now it was self-inflicted on accident. What are they going to do? I wonder if this is an update to that one we talked about a couple weeks ago. We'll click on it. That's also interesting to me. That one, I don't know, we talked about it, but it's old. Here we go. January 10th. I think we talked about this. Oh no, there's more. We had the other angle last time. This accident took place in December. Today's two videos published by The Intercept obtained through public records requests show the white Tesla activating the left signal, changing lanes, and then hitting the brakes, coming to a complete stop, where it sit stationary in the lane. trailing vehicle is unable to stop in time and hits the back of the Tesla, triggering several more collisions from other cars that were also unable to stop in time. Other cars that were also tailgating. That's how that should read. There's the Model S. It's braking before it turns, isn't it? Signal and brake together. Signal first, then brake immediately to a stop. Boom, boom, boom. That is not autopilot behavior. And my autopilot tends to turn itself off in tunnels, so yeah, this video we saw already coming from the other side. And I can understand why they hit him, like who stops in the fast lane after turning into the fast lane? But it's still your responsibility to look out for brilliant individuals. At first glance, the video seems to back up the driver's story, but it also raises questions as there are a number of inconsistencies that will hopefully be fleshed out in the investigation. One of those is the claim by the driver that the car suddenly slammed on the brakes, insinuating that it was a phantom braking event. However, the video appears to show a more gradual slowdown. There's also the fact that the Tesla comes to a complete stop in the lane, suggesting the driver was not paying attention, as they could have easily intervened and continued driving had they simply pressed the accelerator. Then, of course, there is the fact that the Tesla was traveling along a 5-lane highway, a type of road where FSD beta cannot be engaged and where only Tesla's autopilot can be activated. Yep. Beta equals driver's responsibility. Yep. Article implies the car could be on autopilot and not FSD beta. Yeah. Please note that current autopilot cannot perform auto lane change. For that feature, customers need to pay an additional $6,000. Yep. So he's blaming FSD, but FSD couldn't be engaged. Correct. That's ageism right there. But it's not, necessarily based in a lack of fact. Driver doesn't keep his hands on the wheel or remain attentive at all times. Tesla autopilot disengaged. Yes. But when Tesla autopilot does that, it tends to disengage the four-way flashers at the end of the stop, and that car was stopped. If the driver ignored the car completely, the autopilot flashing hazards would have turned on. Yes, just like I just said. Regardless, it's simple someone not paying attention and not using it correctly. Yep. In most, not all cases, the drivers are moronic liars. Quickly found out. This is also true. I would like to not just call them that. There's a gentler way to say that, assuming they're not lying on purpose. Yeah, we did talk about this 2 years ago. So they fixed it. All right, so then during the Super Bowl, in some markets, our friend, Dan O'Dowd, the clown, had a video calling for NHTSA to turn off FSD beta because his system sucks. So he's got a video of poor quality showing stuff like this, but not proving that the car actually did what it appears to be showing. And let's click on the tweet and see if I can find the rebuttal video. Oh wow, it went straight there without moving a new window. So I don't see the rebuttal video. The enemy lurks again. I can't escape those FSD nightmares. Yesterday. All right, so he's got this
Run
thing
down
here.
a child in a school crosswalk, swerve into oncoming traffic, hit a baby in a stroller, go straight past stopped school buses.
So we can see in all of these videos, there's something on the screen that we can't see. He claims that it's saying that the supercharging isn't paid for, which is not likely. The guy's hands aren't on the wheel; they should be, and he's probably pushing the accelerator. But the car's never been advertised as one to listen to school bus stop signs.
Ignore do not enter signs.
Yeah, it does that.
and even drive on the wrong side of the road.
It does that too.
Tesla's full
But you're the
self-driving
driver.
is
You're responsible.
endangering the public with deceptive marketing and woefully inept engineering. 90% agree that this should be banned immediately. Why does NHTSA allow Tesla full self-driving? Tesla full self
Because they aren't morons. And HTSA has and they've tested it. They understand that it works. They understand what the limitations are, and they're allowed. So the Twitter notes are important. Dan owns a competing company with self-driving software. Dan's previous attempt to show FSD will run down a child was debunked here. I think we looked at that already. Another user performed a test and it worked as expected. But there was a rebuttal to this that had Danny on your Super Bowl drive. You see him pressing the accelerator when FSD is braking. More fraud combined with beautiful with stupidity. All right, let's see. There's a rebuttal video that I'm looking for here. I should have just linked it, but I didn't think to. Okay, so we'll look at that YouTube one because that's probably close enough. All right, so here's how the car actually performs in these tests, according to the Euro NCAP. We've already looked at this on this channel, but I wanted to share it again. Looking for the ADAS testing. Here we go. Pause. Maximize. Unmute. Oh, get back. It's got music. And there may be a difference in the fact that these mannequins are walking and Dan's mannequin was being slid. But I found that my car tends to avoid any obstacles that are in its path that are large like a human. And here we see that it didn't have any problems with any of the tests. Got 98%. And there we go. And then we saw somebody put up a combo that had some of Dan's vehicles in it, and they failed at least one test. Lane departure, road surface departure, stopping you from having a collision while shifting lanes. Done. Done, done, done. So, down or down, lies again. Including his failed political run. Anyway, Tesla shares impressive new look behind the scenes at Giga Berlin. Let's take a quick look at this. That's forever trying to get me kicked off the air, aren't they? All right, so there's a press. Not a Giga press, but just a regular press. All right, there's a body side. That's it. All right, then. So I guess they just changed the press. 13 different body parts are stamped with 7,300 tons of force in a press line that runs at up to 16 parts per minute. That's pretty good. We then get a good look at the rear underbody, which Tesla revolutionized by using a gigapress to reduce the number of parts in the rear chassis from more than 70 down to a single casting. In these areas of the factory, over 600 robots that weld the stamped parts and casting. There are over 600 robots that weld the stamped parts and casting together. Okay. So imagine how many there were before they lost their job because of the press. I like the sound when it breaks it out of the mold. All right. why they broke it into pieces like this. All right, so then it's doing that welding of the sides to the gigapress piece and so forth. With 600 bots. Through the cars because that looks cool. Yeah, speed it up. And we got body and weight inspection. Then we lift the bodies up. Okay, so they still lift bodies up even in China. They have one. There's like a bridge in Fremont, but they got to pick it up over there because they inherited that factory, and it's weird design. Berlin is home to our most advanced paint system yet. So this is a different factory than the first three videos. It's also where we see the new two Tesla colors, the silver and the red. I don't think we've seen the blue yet. See, they're still using the wood floors like they had on the original Model S. I didn't know they would keep that when they started on the 3 and the Y. And then the vehicle moves to general assembly, where HVAC, power electronics, and more are installed using 20 automated stations, 20 plus. It's our biggest shop by headcount, giving on any given shift with 1,000 plus people helping to build Model Y. So these look like handheld cameras. No, that's still the drone. That's got to be a little bit distracting. You're doing your work and you from the drones. So the new silver and the new. So this is Berlin still, isn't it? Oh, it was all Berlin. Okay, sorry. I don't know why I thought that some of them were Shanghai. There we go. That is impressive. I think so as well. So Tesla meets with the foreign minister from Mexico who promises more good news soon. We'll see. We'll see. This might be just like Tesla in India where they just negotiate, and then nothing happens. We'll see. Model 3 and Y requalify for California's $2,000 clean vehicle rebate, assuming that your income and everything qualify, and the price of the car. You can now that the car is no longer above 60,000, it's been added back into the program. Same thing we saw in Canada where they requalified there as well. Electric vehicle sales in Europe have increased to 29% in 2022. That's good to see. Germany led the way with over 200,000 vehicles in terms of overall sales. Not bad. 400,000. Oh, by over 200,000. 471,394 to France's 267, 203 to the UK's 203,122. Germany also led in plug-in hybrids. Oh, there you go. Electrify all the things. Also now allows remote climate control when the battery is below 20%, but still not with Sentry mode. So if you get your battery into the yellow and you park it, it won't let you use climate control or Sentry mode. But now with this update that's coming out, you will be able to use climate control. But the reason they stopped it was they wanted to make sure that you had range to get where you're going. I'm guessing with the worldwide multiplication of superchargers, they feel that you'll be able to still not get stranded this way. Let's see what the new limit is. Yes, for 15%. And Musk agreed, saying you can go as low as 5%. Do not run your climate control down to 5% unless you're parked across the street from a charger. Just don't do it. Are you sure? Battery's low. Enabling dog mode will consume energy. Yeah, dog mode I get. But just regular climate control, I don't get. Are you sure? Battery is low and enabling camp mode will consume more energy. Yep. Climate will stay on after you leave the car and will turn off when battery reaches 20%. So that's still a requirement for keep climate on, which makes sense, I guess. Because camp mode means you're in the car, and dog mode means that you've got a pet in the car. So I get them having a different setting than the regular keep climate. 'Cause keep climate generally means I'm going to close the door and I'm going to come back after getting ice cream or whatever, and I still want it to be cold when I get back, or hot or whatever. Thing that's still unclear is if Tesla lowered the threshold to 5%, like Musk suggested in the tweet. That's a good question. Or if in the end they decide on a higher number. Let us know if you find out. I wonder if somebody tested that already and told them. Nope. All right, so Ford has announced a massive job cut in Europe as a part of their shift to electrification. So this kind of goes against what I suggested with them shifting all their assets they want to get rid of into Ford Blue and keeping all the stuff they want to keep into Ford Model E. But it doesn't mean that isn't true. It just means that this is one data point against it. And I do feel for all the people who are now 3,800 people looking for work. Ford's Cologne plant and Akron plant in Germany. What did they do? They made something combustion-y, right? There's significantly less work to be done on drivetrains, moving out of combustion. We're moving to a world where with less global platforms where less engineering work is necessary. This is why we have to make adjustments. This is interesting because Tesla, Volkswagen, all the Volkswagen companies, and who else? They're going for more global platforms. Interesting to hear that Ford is doing the opposite. And then this is something that we were going to discuss. Did discuss? I don't remember. China's CATL, they have agreed to spend $3.5 billion with Ford on a lithium iron phosphate battery in Michigan for the F-150 Lightning. And then a surprising blast from the past: the Faraday Future has a production intent FF91 Futurist. They sent it to China for testing and validation. I'm surprised this company is still kicking around. I don't know where they get their money. I mean, it's a cool car, but wow. Looks better when it's not in white. That color is nice. The white looks like a fat limo. It seats 4 and it's limo sized. Not stretch limo, but just like limo. They did it about air freight. That's expensive. I would have put it on a boat. But if you're only doing one, car companies do this all the time. Tesla, you'll always see Tesla's airlifted a car somewhere for cold weather testing. There it is. Hello, China. Yeah, that white silver color with the black roof just doesn't look hot to me. But the black or gray color, whatever they just showed off in that video, I like that. And with that, I need to go get some carbohydrates. So I will thank you, all of you guys, for your time today. Thank you to our channel members and patrons, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Have a nice day.